Well, the haters gonna hate, 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 and the fakers gonna fake, 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 baby. I'm just gonna making luck, a Dominion podcast.
So here's the interesting thing about I was like thinking a lot about shadows, and like my instinct was to try to like compare it to other mechanics. And the more I tried to, the more I realized like it just didn't fit. Like at first, like I wanted to like not like I think it fits into the game. I'm just saying like it's really not like anything else we've seen. I wanted to like compare it to like duration cards, but it's like that's not really a thing because like they can.
Like kind of it gives you a lot more control, destroying variants and whatever.
Yeah,
this is good content.
I think that like I could imagine there very easily being a shadow card that's just +2 actions, and that would be and like costs 4, right? And that would be like one of the stronger
coin of the realm.
I suspect that would have to cost more than 4. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Like, I want to see how the shadow effect is costed. But like, it's interesting. It gives you. It's like this thing you can redeem whenever, kind of like a token, except you get it whenever you shuffle your deck. So they're as many things are. They're like the best when in like super like reliable and variance reducing in the universe where you're drawing your deck every turn. Right. A lot of things are, but especially these. But when you're not drawing your deck every turn, they're obviously like significantly weaker, right?
No,
like,
I think they're better.
Okay, this is great content, and we should argue about this on the podcast.
This isn't on the podcast?
Well, wait, are we not on the podcast yet? I thought we were on the podcast.
Welcome to Making Luck, a Dominion podcast.
Okay, apparently we're starting the podcast.
Hi, I'm Adam.
I'm Wandering Winder.
So it's been a minute since we've done a podcast, and welcome back.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since we've seen Jake. How you doing, Jake?
Yeah, I am still here. I have the camera on just so you like believe me. I am still alive.
Oh yeah, see, I'll put it on there. There's Jake, but it's not on the screen.
Yeah, I made it out of Adam's basement. I've been out for a few years now.
Yeah. I decided to let him go.
Yeah.
It was time.
Yeah, if you love something, set it free. And I was set free. And I was lost for a while, but I found my way into this house. I don't know. Presumably somebody will be home at some point, and I'll have to leave. But
oh, cool.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Are you saying leave to the afterlife, or?
Hopefully not. Hopefully I can just go out a window and nobody will be any the wiser.
Oh, so leave like the things on trees.
Yeah, sort of like.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
So I believe none of us have played any Dominion since the last podcast episode, which was in like February.
You are incorrect.
Right?
I have played some Dominion since then, but it's been over 2 months.
I played in your tournament.
Oh yeah, that does count. And I played like 1 or 2 turn-based games with some people, but like that also doesn't count. So yeah, I've been playing like no Dominion at all. No. None of us have, and also none of us. We've been like sheltering ourselves from this new set, Rising Sun. Like I don't know anything about the set other than like the base new mechanics that have been introduced. Yeah. I've seen none of the cards, and that's true for all of us, right?
Well,
I think we all 3 read through the description of the mechanics so that when we see these cards, we'll like kind of have some context for what they do. But no, I have not read any of the actual card text. What I did do, when I was starting this, as I Googled, like, when did the first Dominion set come out? And Dominion's really, really old. I forgot.
Wow, 15 is really old.
Well, no, it's 16. It's 16 now. My copy of base set Dominion is old enough to drive now. Like, it is, it's crazy. I
was actually thinking about this earlier today. This podcast actually, like, It's been around longer than my son, who's going to start kindergarten this year.
Yeah.
Like this podcast is in the 1st grade.
Wow.
And all I can
Come
say
so
is,
far.
get off my lawn.
Well, I guess like the reason I was thinking about the age of Dominion, and we'll get to it when we get to the mechanics, definitely. But like, I think it's amazing how long the game's been out, how many expansions have come out, and we still read something like Shadows, and it makes you go like, what the like? It's like the fact that there are still like not just like we haven't even read the cards. The fact that there are still rules being added to the game that really make you like do a double take. Like it really speaks, I think, to how I mean he's a talented designer, Donald X, and like it speaks to how I don't know much of an art there is to because like the mechanics are not like complicated. They're just like still kind of mind bending in terms of like changing how
They're still novel.
Yeah, like the way that the cards play is just fundamentally different. I think it's really interesting. It's cool. Like so far, having read 0 cards, I give this expansion a thumbs up.
Okay. Man,
Yeah.
I am just, was it the last expansion that had the, what are they called? Loots? The treasures that cost 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loots are weird.
I didn't like that.
I had some nerd rage.
Didn't like that one. Part of why I haven't played as much because it wasn't as fun, and like that and Nocturne, those kinds of mechanics, not for me.
So I'm totally with you. I think I was pretty outspoken when Nocturne came out, and like of my like salty rage at just like the concept of hexes, specifically 2 hexes, but and then I think like
Boons.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Boon, I don't know. For me, maybe it's different for you. Boons didn't bother me as much as hexes did, but like it was only like 2 hexes specifically that bothered me.
It just depended on the situation. It was just sometimes like the one boon was all like, it's the only plus buy, and as soon as you get that boon, you just win, and it's like, well, that's no fun. And
yeah, sure.
And there's a similar issue with the loots to me, because like 60% of them have plus buy, so you go for a loot to get your plus buy, and then you don't get it. And then you go for another loot to get your plus buy, and then you don't get it again, and you just lost the game.
Yeah, that does feel really bad to like I've played very little with loots, and that does feel really bad when it happens. And I guess like the thing that feels
trashing one, and it's the only trashing, and it's like, well,
I think the thing that feels the worst, my headphones just died, by the way. But I think it feels worse because you're like more likely than not to get plus buy. So when you don't, it feels like, Donald is sitting up in the clouds going like, screw you in particular.
I don't feel it that
he does that.
But
No, that it's a fact. He does that specifically to you, Jake, actually, but also to me these days.
Oh, have you fallen out of his good graces?
Not necessarily, but I kind of disappeared because I got cancer, and then I tried to reappear, and then I relapsed, and I'm fine now. Well, I mean, I'm in remission now. I'm not exactly fine, but I'm in remission. We're doing better, and I'm not really playing Dominion anymore.
So I think it depends on what the effect is on the shadows.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they are for sure. I definitely want to start talking about these cards, but I have a couple of things that I want to just touch on before we get into this. First, this is going to be hopefully a long podcast. We're going to try and keep it as short as possible, but I don't know when the next one's going to be. Likely when there's more content. I don't think any of us are playing Dominion regularly anymore, but I think that's not to say that we can't do our best to speak authoritatively about what we're saying. These are screaming hot takes. We've never seen these before, but I think much like sight reading in music, the ability to see something for the first time and use the fundamentals and the mental framework that we have established over 15 years, 16 years even, to evaluate these and figure out what makes them good is important. And that's an important skill in Dominion regardless, but it's especially good when there's new cards. And so we're going to be flexing that muscle today, and hopefully we'll be enumerating our thought process so we can learn from that. But also screaming hot takes. In addition, there is one actual announcement. I am still doing in-person tournaments. I'm going to have my 17th tournament coming up here in just a couple of months from when this is
16
airing.
years of Dominion. That's more than one per year.
Yeah, I'm doing them every 6 months. The next one is going to be coming up on Saturday, October 29th, 2024. It is going to be at Victory Pints, which is not the venue I've always used, but it's the same venue I've used for the last 3 tournaments. It's very, very good. They're excited to have me. It's a really good atmosphere. Just about everyone has universally said this is awesome, and we have a regular crowd that keeps coming. There's pretty good attendance. It's a really good time. So if you're listening to this podcast and you aren't already planning to come to the tournament, I want you to cancel. I want you to cancel whatever plans that you might have for that day, Saturday, October 19th, 2024. And I want you to come down to the Cincinnati, Ohio area, and I want you to come to this Dominion tournament. It's going to be a really good time. I'm going to link in the description the Facebook event, which has the details. Let me know if you're coming, or you can just show up. That's fine. But I really hope to see you there. And if it's past that, hi, future. I hope I'm still alive. Anyway, if no one else has anything else to say, why don't we get started?
I did have one thing, and that's just I also wanted to plug Adam's Dominion tournament. I'll just testimonial, like I go to Adam's tournaments. I go to pretty much every one. I go whenever I can. It's the only Dominion I play, pretty much, and I continue to go because Adam just does so much work for these tournaments and genuinely makes them into a good, enjoyable experience for competitive players and casual players alike. So cannot recommend enough if you are at all able to go down. It is a good time. Can basically promise that.
I appreciate that, Jake. And I do put a lot of work into it. It is rewarding to see other people having a good time, but also it's a good time for me too, because I know I don't play a lot of Dominion these days. I've been playing a lot of Ark Nova. By the way, started another channel for my Ark Nova games. # link in the description. It's a game about building a zoo. I'm super into it. But I still love the game of Dominion, and I think that's true for all of us, right? We all still love the game Dominion, yeah?
Yeah. For me, it's like a platonic love at this point.
Of course, not a romantic love.
We went through the honeymoon phase. We had our marriage. We got divorced, and at this point, I'm like, I want the best for Dominion. I'm the supportive ex-husband. All right, this went off the rails, but
that actually really hits home for me, Jake. Wandering Winter.
Would not say that analogy hits home for me, but sure, I like Dominion.
Yeah.
Right, and it's really nice to be able to get together with people in meat space, with other adults, which is not something I get to do very often because life hasn't been particularly kind to me in that aspect. But just sharing passion and conversation with other humans that have that same passion is an experience that we don't get that much of these days, especially in Dominion, which I know I'm going to refer to it, but Dominion's a computer game now. It's not even a tabletop game anymore. And just to have that experience is something that you really can't find a lot anymore. And so that's my favorite thing about hosting the tournaments. That's why I continue to work hard to make them enjoyable so people will come back, so that I can come back and I can do that. Anyway, why don't we talk about some cards? All right, this first one is Alley. I'll go ahead and read it, but we'll alternate. It is a 4-cost action shadow. It says +1 card, +1 action, discard a card. So it is basically Oasis, but it says you can play this from your deck as if in your hand. And I believe that is what the shadow tag, the card type, does. It's I believe this card has a different back, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jake?
It
All right,
says
I was-
they have unique backs, and that when you shuffle, you put the shadows on the bottom.
yeah,
That is you must, right?
I-
It's not a
I
choice.
believe you must, although you can also mix in other cards that you are bottom decking, that you're specifically like,
yeah.
the things that I can't remember what they're called, allies or something, that says, hey, you can bottom deck a thing. If you're
Oh, if you
bottom
bury
decking that,
something.
and I assume if you put stash in, you could put stash mixed in with these too.
Okay.
Yeah, stash says place wherever, right? So like,
I don't remember. I haven't looked at
It's like a when shuffling trigger.
I assume that like, yeah, I'm reading it now. It says, it doesn't say you may, it says put. It does say you can turn them like sideways to remember where they are.
Right.
But like, I
Yeah.
assume that, yeah, but it also says that you get autonomy over like where in the bottom and get to place other things under them as well. So I assume that would also apply to things that don't say bottom. Like
You
stash.
say you get autonomy and where in the bottom, but it's not like you can stack. If I have 5 different shadows, I can't stack them in the order I want, right? I'm shuffling shadows together.
You can.
Yeah,
You can stack them,
I
right?
read this as you can. Let me
I'm pretty sure you can.
Clearly, I've done a
So-
lot of preparation for this podcast and have looked at everything.
Well,
already.
it's this is important.
lack of preparation was kind of like the whole like thing.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, like this is supposed
Welcome
to
to Making Luck,
be
Opinion podcast.
an unprepared podcast. Yeah. Yeah, it says. Oh, also they won't always stay on the bottom of your deck, so you can if you shuffle your deck, you can actually like.
But
Actually, here's
when
what.
you
What?
shuffle them, but if you would then like put another card on the bottom of your deck after it without shuffling, that
Sure.
would go
Yeah,
back.
with Pearl Diver.
Oh, well,
Or,
this
no,
says
that's not what that does, but
this. Okay, this actually.
Yes, Pearl Diver. You could move one of them to the top. I guess.
there you go. We
Okay,
did it.
You can draw a shadow if you really want to.
Spoiler alert, I think one of the things I was going to say about shadows generally is you want to make sure you don't draw them.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it seems
the
inefficient.
only thing I could think of where you might not like want it to be on the bottom is if for some reason you wanted to like do some stuff with like Herald or like but Edge Casey stuff. Yeah, I think the power is the shadow text that you can play them from your deck. You never have to draw them. That is really powerful. I'm like trying to evaluate this one. Okay, so like +1 card, +1 action, discard a card. That's like not a powerful effect. 4 would be way too much for that.
No, but the thing is, because you're playing it from your deck, there is an inherent implied +1 card.
Sure.
Yeah, and also, does this cost an action to play when
Yeah.
you vorp it into play from the bottom
I
of your deck?
believe it does.
They don't like net you actions like they would if they were like auto played from something. When you go to play an action, you can play an action from your hand or you can play a shadow from your deck.
Right. So it's still it costs an action to play it.
Okay, so this is not a village. Alley is not a village.
No. But like, I maintain the point that like that's a weak effect if you obviously you don't ignore the shadow text, but like 4 would be way too much for even like ignoring the whole like if it said +2 cards, +1 action, discard a card,
Well,
that would not be good at 4, right?
It's okay. Yes, that would.
And
No, I
that's-
think that would be pretty good at 4.
I mean, that's like Secret Passage, only maybe slightly better in the abstract, right?
You just discard instead of insert, which is I think most
Probably.
There's a recent card that is
Like-
like this, I think, and there's Fugitive.
I guess yeah.
Fugitive, yeah.
Okay, I guess yeah. This does seem pretty good. When do you buy this? What fate? Okay, so like, I think like probably a more interesting thing to think about in terms of like whether or not I think it'll be kind of obvious whether or not you want this kind of effect, right? My question is like, given that this is a shadow and what does that change when you would buy a card like this?
Well, I think the fact that you can just have this effect whenever you want, notably at the start of your turn, without costing you the ability to find the other cards in your starting hand of 5 that you want to kick off whatever your deck does, be that hit $8 or draw every card in it, I think that itself is a big deal. So it has that like duration-y upside to where it gives you like sifting. I mean, this is filtering, right?
Yeah.
It's card neutral. It doesn't increase your hand size, it doesn't increase your actions, but like it just improves the quality of your hand. And the fact that like it's a half of a dungeon,
Yeah. So,
right? But you didn't have to play it the previous turn. You didn't have to stagger the dungeons.
But and like that stuff is all relevant, and it makes the card like better and unique. My question though is like, does it change when you would buy something like this? Like you were talking about using it to get the hand you want at the start of your turn to kick off, right? But you have to have, but like obviously you have to have that hand like in your deck. Like does the fact that this has shadow text on it change? Like, do you get this earlier than you would if it was plus 2 cards?
My
I don't know that it makes it like night and day. It's a totally different card.
I don't think it changes that much.
So like,
I think
I
it
don't
makes it better.
yeah. I mean, just thinking like vacuum.
7 out of 10.
Okay.
What are we giving this out of 10? I give it a 7 out of 10. I'm thinking about 8.
I'm not. I don't know what numbers are. I'm not really. What I'm thinking about here. I'll sign me up for somewhere in the 6 to 7 range. Let's say.
I'm comfortable 7.
Because I think you can open, like if you open with this and silver.
Oh, you're opening. Okay, that's what I was asking. Are you opening?
On turns 3 and 4, you can pretty well line up what you're trying to hit because you can choose whether you want to play it on turn 3 or turn 4. You're never gonna like Golden Sombrero. You're never gonna double bottom deck because this is on the bottom, but you can play it whenever.
Ooh, yeah, this really likes to be opened with, so you can find your 3 cost.
Well, okay.
Well, I mean, sometimes
think...
you're just like the 4 cost is going to be better. Like if 4 cost is a trasher or something.
Yeah, but like if you really want to find your 3 cost, this is a fantastic opener. It does guarantee you find it turn 3, turn 4, and have a clean shuffle.
Okay,
So like, didn't think about that.
Let's say it's a board where you just want to hit 5 and 6 early and often, right? As many boards are.
This guarantees $5 on turn 3, turn 4, right? With this in silver.
Yes.
Does it guarantee it?
Yes.
Okay, so this is better than double silver if
because you have well, it's better at making sure you hit 5 for sure. It's not as good as like
yeah, you can't hit double 5.
I suspect it gives you a pretty good chance at hitting 6.
My estimate on that is like maybe 20% chance to hit 6-3 instead of 5-4.
I think it's
okay.
Maybe it's 25.
All right,
haven't done the math either.
So we're talking about a card. If I'm understanding this right, we're talking about a card that is good at smoothing your money, and if you want to do that, and it's good at spiking your money if you want to do that. And the other cards that you would say that about, like things like gear. I'm not comparing this to gear, but like, but the other things you would say that about are like really highly regarded, powerful cards. So that if we're saying that Alley is capable of all that, and it's like even a good opener, I'm actually going to go up from 7. I'm going to say this is like 8.5. Like as in like I think I've been talked into thinking that this is something you maybe like more often than not will open with if it's out.
I mean,
so
that to me is high
because the thing is, right, you still need something powerful in your, like, if you just get a bunch of these, your deck doesn't do anything.
Well,
you
yeah,
still need something to do.
But dude, silver is powerful.
Sure. Well, to an extent, but I'm saying like, if there is what I'm saying is I think there could be 4 costs that are more premium. Like if Remake is on the board and it's the trasher I want, I'm going to open with it over there.
Yeah, obviously a 4 cost will probably be open instead of this, but like, what if you just get Alley Silver and then the next shuffle you get Alley Silver or Gold Silver, but you can just like Alley Silver until you Alley Gold, and that probably isn't good money.
So I think these things could be good for money. I just think that like they're probably
yeah.
also good for other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm solid 8. I don't think I'm coming down from 8.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards 8
The
than 7. But yeah.
the more
give
we've
me
talked
7.
about. Sorry.
I said give me 7.
Okay. The more we've
Okay.
talked about this, the better it's gotten in my mind. But yeah.
Yeah, shadow cards just seem incredibly powerful. It seems like there's such a high floor for how good they can be. But
I
anyway.
mean, if it's a blank card that's shadow, it's probably not very good at them. But like, if it's a shadow card that says +1 card, like I don't know, kind of sign me up.
Oh, okay. That's probably
I
not
wonder if
great.
we're gonna
But
see a
yeah.
shadow silver.
Well, I was thinking
yeah,
like a
that
terminal
sounds amazing.
silver that costs 4 and is shadow is probably pretty good for money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not good for drawing stuff because like if you're drawing your deck, the terminal silver's bad, right?
Hey, I might open with that if my trasher costs 5. You don't know
When
me.
you talked about like a money shadow being good in money, like my instinct is again wanting to like compare it to things like coin tokens, which are great, but it's like, yeah, no, it's not even that.
Yeah, the whole shadow mechanic does remind me of the card token that never got made.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't know me, Maury.
Who wants to read Aristocrat?
Aristocrat is a 3-cost action. It says if the number of aristocrats? No. If the number of aristocrats you have in play is 1 or 5, you get +3 actions. If it's 2 or 6, you get +3 cards. If it's 3 or 7, you get +3 money. And if it's 4 or 8, you get +3 buys. The first thing that I want to note here is that I guess what the FAQ says that if you have 0, 9, or 10
9
in
or
play,
10.
it doesn't do anything. So if you're like somehow playing this from the supply and you don't have any in play, it doesn't do anything.
Seems pretty bad, yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera. But the next thing that it makes me think of is
how can I get 11 in play?
Most of things have been retemplated to not be a like WoW in play, and this seems more like that. So my point is, like if you throne room this, it's not that the first play does actions and the second play does cards. It's how many are in play, which is a subtle difference that will come up sometime.
Yeah, when throne room's in the game. Yeah.
Is this like way too good? Am I reading this wrong? Like, because like you just buy
this doesn't seem great to me.
Well, okay, hang on. So you play the first one and it gives you actions. I guess you really want that second one. Okay.
So if you play 4 of these, you
played 4 markets.
No.
Woo!
No, you're down.
But it was worse.
You're one thing lower on.
Oh,
counts,
wait.
Right?
You played 4 markets, but the 4th one was terminal. Oh no, it's worse. Oh, it's so much worse. Counting is hard.
No. This is not as good as I like read it at first.
Yeah, this doesn't seem very good to me. I feel like this is only good when it's the only village.
If it's the only village, then like having 1 or having 2 maybe is good. If it's the only buys, like maybe
gross.
else is around. Like, although like you have to sit through getting 4 of these before you get your buys, and at one buy at a time. That's.
I will say kingdoms where this is the only buy are going to be kind of interesting because like,
especially if there's no other village.
Yeah, if there's like
if there's no other village, it's like probably maybe time to start thinking maybe I don't want to do this whole building thing.
Right. Yeah. No, that's actually the interesting part is because like this is one of those cards that can technically do any given thing, but actually it's like kind of bad at all of it. So it it does make you question like if this is an integral part of building into a like bigger, more elaborate strategy that has bigger turns.
But here's the thing. What if I just get 2 of these? I'm like trying to draw my deck and stuff, and I just get 2 of these.
That seems pretty bad to me.
If I play 2 of them, I get +3 actions plus 2 cards, and it's taken me 2 cards and 2 actions. So it's like
that's not that bad.
Card up an action.
It's kind of mid, but it was unreliable. But like
Okay, but like it's mid, but that is in the best possible
Oh, for
case
sure.
when you drew both of those aristocrats and you didn't need any other draw or village to
No,
do.
Right.
I'm saying
Well,
you
maybe
definitely want
maybe you didn't.
other
village.
draws and villages and stuff in this deck, and like maybe you can get. I think the main case is going to be, hey, I really need a card that gives me +3 actions. I will get one copy of this.
I'll tell you, I actually think there's going to be an even more common case for you to get Aristocrat, and it's going to be like you were forced to gain a card that costs 3 or less, and that was better than like a little better than silver, and it was like.
When you say better than silver, I am skeptical.
I do think most decks I think there's a lot of decks where it's going to be better than silver, and there will be like a lot of things where you were like,
I don't know, because like the first effect just does so much nothing unless you really need.
Yeah.
It's the second effect. The other thing that I think of is like Throne Room, right? If I play one of these and then I throne the second one, but even then, like, so the second effect is it's a smithy. It's not like, and you had to do work to get it to be a smithy.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm giving this
4 out of 10.
Yeah, I was actually.
4 is what I was going to say too.
Yeah, we're all in agreement on the number.
Nice.
Yeah, less often.
Artist.
Yeah.
Jake, you want to read Artist?
All right. Yes. Artist.
First off, Artist costs 8 debt. Artist +1 action, +1 card. You have exactly one. +1 action, +1 card per card. You have exactly one copy of in play. Okay.
My brain.
All right. So like, let's.
This seems bad.
I don't think this seems bad. This is. I think because like you'll play. Your artist will probably trigger off of artists, right? So
your first artist.
The first one.
Yeah, your first one. You don't like spam artists. I don't think you spam anything that costs 8 debt. But like I actually think that it's pretty reliable that this is at least a lab, and it's quite often better than that. And like so, okay. The first question, I know that we haven't established it's as good as lab, but let's assume that it is. Would lab at 8 debt be good?
No.
I don't know.
I mean, you get it sometimes, but
yeah,
like
I struggle to think that I think this needs to draw 3 cards minimum every time for me to be happy spending 8 debt on it.
Reliably draws 3, you're very happy.
Yeah. I think
right.
3 is really good.
Yeah. And 2 is not good enough.
Okay, I wouldn't say not good enough because like here's the thing, like lab is really, really good on like most.
But like you can start your turn with a lab in hand, knowing it will draw 2 cards, and that's so good. Artist doesn't do that for you.
It's like so close to guaranteed. It's not guaranteed.
It is so far from guaranteed.
You have to have
like one card and then artist.
It has to be non-terminal.
Yeah, you have to have one other non-terminal action. That's not that hard to.
And you have to find your artist after playing exactly one of those. So it's either a cantrip or it's other draw, in which case, why do you need this? I want more of those. Or it's not draw, in which case that's never happening for you.
You can have shadows.
Yeah. Oh, actually, good with shadows. That's another thing. But
how many shadows are there? Oh, gross! Out of like what, 500 kingdom cards? No, like thank 400. You. Artist 3 out of 10.
Oh. Okay. No. Okay. This is at least a 6, and I might go higher.
I am more similar to Jake here because I think you're going to be able to draw 3 or sometimes more often enough. Like, think of how I don't think it's going to be as good as Menagerie.
The disagreement here is I just don't think you're going to draw that much often enough. I think that's where the disagreement is.
And I think you're going to be able
We did it! Urgh! Disagreement! I'm so excited.
I think you're going to be able to draw enough reasonably often. So I don't think you're probably going to want a lot of these very often. I think you'll want one pretty often.
I think like the average board with artist on it, where you're like, other than like big money boards or like minimal build boards, I think the average board with artist on it, you're going to have 2 of them. I also I have huge disagreement with one thing in particular Adam said, which is that like let's
Ooh.
say there's other draw and artist, and you're like, I don't want artist, I want other draw. I think you want both. I think that artist is fantastic in decks that have other sources of draw. I think that it just by nature is a card that like is a really impactful single card that you don't want that many of. And we've seen other cards like that be like successful, like
Like
City
what?
Quarter. And what's that one that like you draw a ton and then you discard your copy?
City Quarter is a village.
Marquis?
What?
Marquis? You're thinking of Marquis?
Yeah.
Marquis?
Yeah.
The 6 cost +1 buy, double your hand size, discard down to 10?
I'm thinking the debt one. The one.
Royal Blacksmith. Yeah, so I was actually thinking about Royal Blacksmith. When you were saying that, I was thinking about the comparison to Royal Blacksmith, and Royal Blacksmith it
This
sucks.
is non-term.
And I think this is worse because it draws less
I
cards.
think this is better than Royal Blacksmith because it's not terminal.
I think it's roughly the
I'm
same.
not going to compare this to Royal Blacksmith because, like Wandering Winter said, it's non-terminal. I'm just saying it fills a similar role, not in terms of power level, but in terms of like being a card that is a very important single card. That you have one or two and is expensive to boot. I think that we've seen cards like that be pretty successful in Kingdoms. I think that you're going to get this one pretty often, probably more often than not, to be honest. I think
and
six, maybe 7.
And I just think it's too expensive for that, and I would rather just have more of the other draw cards
6 out of 10.
because this costs too much. Yeah. Oh, I'm really excited to see how wrong you guys are and how right I am. This is oh man, I've missed this. All right. Next.
Wait, Jake didn't give a number. Well, he said it was at least
You
6,
said
but what is your
6.
I said 6, edging towards 7. I mean, I could go 6.5, but I think I'm growing out of that phase.
I'm really happy to hear that, Jake.
I'm gonna stick to my guns. You know what? I think 6. I think Adam's point about it being very expensive for that role is valid.
Yeah.
And that's what edges me down to 6. But like, I think there's gonna be a lot of games where it's gonna feel like an 8. But anyway.
Nice. All right. Next card is change. I wonder if that's the noun or the verb.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
4 cost action. If you have any debts, +3 money. Otherwise, trash a card from your hand and gain a card costing more money than it, plus debt equal to the difference in money. And
What?
The asterisk is the symbol for this expansion is an asterisk?
It's a flower. I think it's a sakura flower.
Okay, but maybe the resolution is just really poor because I am zooming in and the art is also I really hope that that it doesn't look like the asterisk that I'm seeing.
I'm pretty sure that it's supposed to be a flower, but it does kind of look like an asterisk or a meeple. Although
full res images pending here.
With apologies to whatever company, because apparently meeple is a registered trademark and blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, there was some cease and desist. So anyway, it's a 4 cost. It's terminal. The first time you play it, it's a remodel, which you can remodel as much as you want as long as you take the debt, and then until you pay off the debt, you're gonna get 3 monies to help you pay off your debt. Right? That's what this thing does.
You can gain a province on turn 3.
You can gain a province this seems great in the end game for getting provinces and ending the game. I mean, a province because you have to pay off your debt.
Remind me what the debt rules are. You can only repay it in the buy phase, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but wasn't there a rule change?
That's what I'm trying to remember.
Didn't Donald X say there was a rule change saying now you can pay debt off during your black market or something? I thought there was an errata to rule, like a rules errata.
Let me scroll up to where the debt rules in this rule book are.
Assuming you can pay off debt mid-turn, then in theory you can change a card and then play another change and pay off the debt and then remodel another card in the same turn.
Right.
I can't imagine that
it would be a lot
really
longer if you can do that.
Do that? I can't imagine that's going to happen with change specifically because it's terminal, but maybe you play a change and you gain a thing, and then you play like some non-terminal money, and
You've
I
played a
don't know,
bunch
it
of
seems
peppers
pretty
or
narrow.
whatever, so you have a bunch of money, and then you just play 2 changes.
Yeah, like something like that could theoretically happen. I don't know. I don't see that happening too often. I feel like this is a remodel that you use to.
Oh, it is.
Um,
It is any point in your turn. A player
Okay,
can
so that is
remove
a
debt
rules
tokens
change.
at any point in their turn by paying 1 money per debt token to remove it.
Okay.
Black market just got a buff. Sick.
Well, okay. Now I'm wondering, like, I don't know if this is going to be the common use case for it, but like, is it going to be like common or even like a sometimes thing where you get a bunch of changes and like,
Change money. Mass change money.
Well, I
Turbo
would-
change.
That
well,
that seems pretty
I
bad.
was talking about change megaturn where like you empty the change where you
I don't think that could happen either because you have to take debt. You have to take debt.
yeah.
You can't change a province into a province because it has to
It
cost
has
more.
to cost more. Yeah, you can't.
So
do
you
like
are taking debt.
I don't think you're going to want to get like a lot of changes very often. But
The more I think about this, the worse it seems.
Yeah, right. It's like it's kind of doing the opposite of what that shadow card at the beginning did, of what Allie did, where like it like this one seemed really good at first, and then the more we talk about it, the cooler I'm getting on it. I don't
like
know.
if I play this on turn 3 and I trash in a state and I gain a 5er, and then I'm going to have 3 coppers in my hand and I pay 3 debt.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's good, but like any.
Well, no, that actually doesn't sound very like. Then my next turn, I'm not going to have that much money, and
Well, you're gonna have whatever doesn't really affect your next turn's money, right? Like
no, because I'm going to have some debt left over still.
It's still a little bit more flexible. Like this is pretty flexible in terms of like spiking an early price point. Like I could get a forge or a grand market a lot earlier than normal if I open with a change and I'm trashing an estate on top of it.
Yeah.
Well,
Like that seems pretty great.
Yeah, so I guess if there's something really expensive and hard to buy
Yeah.
that only costs coins, so
Like-
like no possession,
Early forge, right?
Yeah.
right, you will get it no matter what. As soon as you draw this, you can gain whatever 1 card you want that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it can't be too inexpensive, but you know what I mean.
So I think the primary use case for this is going to be gaining expensive trashers, right? Like for
Well, expensive things. Like I could see payload, like Grand Market.
Well, I guess the reason I said trashers is what other thing is okay. So actually, it's not. What other thing is so important to spike early that you are willing to take the debt? But then I say that out loud. It's like, well, it's not like you're really
Like,
bending over.
Most fivers. I can think of a lot of fivers. Like any trashing or junking fiver, I probably want this.
Oh, junking, yeah.
Like I think it has that use case, but without that specific support, you don't want to get this early. And I'm thinking about like, yes, this has endgame application, so it's going to be fine in your deck later on. You probably have to be careful that you don't like cripple economy because of this, or that it's worth it to cripple economy just to spike those price points and put the good cards in your deck. So you have to be a little careful. But I don't know, this seems narrow, but very good in the right circumstance.
I'm just thinking like turn 1, 2, right? I get one of these. In that case, right, I get a 5er and I have no debt. I've played this, like I play this on turn 3, I trash an estate, I get a 5er, I pay my debt off, right?
Yeah.
And then I buy whatever on turn 4.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Like
yeah, it's like you got a silver, only you trashed an estate,
right.
And this was much more flexible.
The problem
And
is if you draw this with 4 coppers.
Well, okay, but it's can trash copper and you take a ton of debt, but at least you get the remodel effect off on your coppers. which is like kind of hard.
Yeah, it's still not as dead as
Yeah.
most other trash for benefit things in that situation would be.
And then let me ask you this. Well, I guess you can't open with 2 of them because it costs 4. Because that I was going to say, like, I have some debt, and now maybe I want to make 3 money because it's early in the game, and then later when they collide, I just use one to trash the other. That's probably not that good.
Well, you're only making 2 money, really, right?
3.
Max of 2 money because you have to have 1 debt. I'm talking about like the money you net.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Kind of. I see what you mean by that, but
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
a terminal gold ever.
Although theoretically, I could imagine a situation where you specifically don't pay your debt off because you want this to make money instead of.
You really want a terminal silver.
That seems really narrow.
It seems narrow.
I think it's more likely to come up if like it's the middle of your turn and you've made some money, and you could pay the debt off in the middle of your turn, but you'd rather make more money potentially.
Because you don't want the required trash, I guess.
Yeah, you don't want the required trash or to take more debt, right? Like because
Sure.
That's actually a legit reason to not pay it off is because is to get around the
to wait to pay it off. Yeah, sure.
You could like also just not. Well, yeah.
I mean, you could not play it, so you need to actually want a little more money.
Yeah, and
6 out of 10.
Oh, 5 out of 10.
4. It's just
Right.
going down the line. Yeah, 4.
Wait.
I don't know. Maybe 5. Maybe 5. Whatever.
Craftsman. It's a 3-cost action, and it says +2 debt.
Whoa.
Your card costing up to 5 coins.
+2 debt on a card.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
You love to see it.
Gain a card costing up to 5. That's like so similar to that situation we were describing earlier, right? Am I willing to gain a 5er at the cost of like, I mean, you don't trash an estate here, and you can only gain 5ers.
This also has no. Okay, go.
I'm just thinking like, so I play this, and I gain a 5, and I'm gonna have to spend 2 money to pay a debt. So like, let's say it's the start of the game. This is gonna gain me a 5er. I'm not gonna be able to buy anything else.
It's like worse than Feast to open with.
Well, it doesn't trash itself.
I mean,
that's a downside.
You get if there are 5ers you want to start gaining ASAP. It's like I don't know. That's such an obvious thing to point out about it. Like, is it just if I want,
you still probably get it.
Yeah, like I want Sentry, I want Recruiter. Like those are like there's some really high priority 5er.
I think you have to have there has to be a 5 that you or 5s as a general that you want a lot of.
Yeah, this really falls off if you only want the 1 5er, right?
If you're just trying to get like, oh, I just want my 1 Sentry, I don't think this is that good.
Well, I mean, the Sentry case is interesting because Sentry doesn't want you like, well,
I mean, no, if you want your 1 Sentry and then you're going to want 5 labs, this could still be good.
Yeah, okay. And it's got I don't think this falls off that hard either. Like, because once you're drawing your deck, it's a gainer, right? And those are really good in that sense. And like,
yeah,
I think this is good.
Yeah, I
think
you know what 5 is always available?
Duchy.
Yeah. Oh man, the Duchy Duke Craftsman dream. Let's go.
You could
Duchy Rush, baby.
You could gain a silver with this. That's always available.
It's up to 5. And I'll help you.
Yeah.
But like it's self-sustaining.
Also, if you're using this to gain like you could have also bought the silver instead of this.
I mean, but
yeah, but you get a lot of silvers with this. It's like workshop gaining silvers.
2 silvers in a turn.
Could do that, but it's illegal to play.
Once you start drawing your silver engine, because like you've got like the money and the silvers to pay off the debt to buy more silvers, so they get multiple from the craftsman. I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's when your engine really kicks into gear.
The wheels are turning.
Engine?
5 out of 10. Yeah, the silver engine.
Yeah.
Like this is a 5 out of 10, easy 5 out of 10.
I was gonna give it a 5, but I'm like
I'm gonna give it a
sort of
6.
talking. I'm talking negatively about it and giving it a 5, and Jake's like, "Yeah, this is really great. I'm giving it a 5."
And I'm giving it a 6.
No, I mean, kids. The thing is, like, this card is more boring than it looks. Like, you like when
Oh, I need 5ers? I guess I'm getting this stupid thing.
yeah, this card like it kind of like looks like a fancy new kind of card because it's like got debt tokens and it's got the little new expansion symbol in the corner. But like this is a really vanilla effect. So yeah,
I don't know. +2 debt is a novel effect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so novel.
yeah.
Daimyo. Jake.
Daimyo. Okay. Daimyo. Action command costs 6 debt. +1 card, +1 action. The next time you play a non-command action card this turn, replay it afterwards. Whew. Okay.
Hold on. I need to look up how to pronounce this word
Welcome
because
to How to
Daniel?
Pronounce.
I don't need a 53-second video.
I'm
Daimyo.
pretty sure that I'm going to
It's Daimyo.
not pronounce it quite right because I've heard
It's Daimyo.
Japanese people say it, and I don't think I can duplicate that sound quite. Like, I'd have to work on it for more time than we're gonna allow for in this podcast.
I was worried it would be Daimyo, but it's not. It's Daimyo. And that's my American
Yeah.
horrible mistreatment of that word.
If
but
I want to
it's
do
Daimyo.
an American, horrible American mistreatment of this word, I'm gonna call it a dime, yo.
Thank you, Wandering Winder. I've missed you.
So, okay. 9 out of 10. This card.
This seems nuts
Yeah,
to
this is-
me. This seems like 9 out of 10 to
Like
me.
you put a cantrip effect on Throne Room. Okay, you can't throne it. You can't like Daimyo a Daimyo. That's the only like thing keeping it.
That's
alive.
not necessarily a downside. Like, you don't want to open with this very often because like you need it to collide still.
Yeah.
Although it's not as bad collision-wise as Throne Room because it does something and it gives you more.
It is
a little more
non-terminal.
space.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say the fact that you can't Daimyo a Daimyo does like that is a significant drawback.
Is it?
Comparing?
I'm not sure that it is.
I mean, it matters, like, because it's not the whole thing. Okay, I was thinking like, oh, this is like they put a cantrip effect on Throne Room, but not quite because like throning a throne is like a big part of why.
Okay. So yeah, if Throne Room is on a board and there are no other non-terminals, Throne Room is still a village. But in this card, it doesn't really work as a village when wait, it does though.
Yeah,
It still is a village,
pretty
it's just
much.
a different flavor.
You just can't play multiple different terminals.
Yeah, but you
The
can.
I will say there's
Oh wait, no you can't, yeah.
there is a little bit of weirdness in that like you have to it's the next card you play.
There's
So
a 4-cost duration from one of the recent sets that does something kind of similar to that.
Royal Galley.
Well, Galley is the one that's like plus a card, and then you play it, and then you play it again at the start of the next turn. I'm thinking of
Yeah.
there's one that's like +2 money, and then the next time you play an action card-
Flagship.
Yeah.
some of the power that you're paying for in this is coming from the plus card plus action, and it does make it a little awkward given that that's like some of the value of the card because it makes your ordering potentially weird because you may have in your hand and you want to like you need to play it to like keep your turn going because you need that next card off the top of your deck, but like the next action you wanted to play isn't the one you wanted to double. This is kind of narrow, and don't get me wrong, I'm kind of thinking of reasons to tone this down. I'm not going down from like 9, maybe 8. Maybe I could be talked down to 8, but like this is really powerful, obviously. I'm just
All
thinking,
of those reasons keep it down at a 9 for me and not at 10. Because
okay.
This card is so good. Like, plus a card, plus an action, Throne Room. Throne Room with an extra card and an extra action is such a strong effect. 6 debt is not that expensive.
And it's openable.
I agree. I agree with that question. So if I play Daimyo, X.
Yeah.
Do I get to play X 3 times?
Yeah. You have to, in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You play X 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this stacks differently than throne room stacks. This
Yeah.
is different.
Yeah.
This is weird. All right.
Yeah, so you do it's not as good as +1 card, +1 action, conjure a throne room out of the vapors and apply it to your next card. That's not what it does, and that's better than what this card is. But because you give up like flexibility on action ordering in a different way in which you give it up on throne rooms, because you can't like but it's different and only very slightly worse. But this still seems very, very good.
Shadows, Adam.
Oh, this is such a mega turn enabler. This in bridge.
Well, yeah, if you play.
Yeah, like Royal Carriage Bridge.
Yeah, like this is so much better than Royal Carriage Bridge, isn't it?
No.
Like, well, no.
Well, it requires
Whereas Royal
you gotta trash to make it work.
Right.
It's like Highway Seaway, not Royal Carriage Bridge.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, he's good with bridge still, but
Highway Seaway is ridiculous, but it does require support. Royal Carriage Bridge is a tier 2 combo. You need something to fight it, or
9
else you're
out of
gonna
10.
lose to it.
Yeah.
9 out of 10.
This card's crazy. 9 out of 10.
Yeah. And you don't even have to hit a price point to put this in your deck. The fact that it only costs debt and it's only 6, like this is so much. This could cost 8 debt and it would still be amazing.
The effect of this card is, again, maybe Artist is better than you, because like I think the effect of Daimyo is better than the effect of Artist.
I agree.
And it costs.
I mean, Artist is a 3 out of 10. It's
anyway.
trash. Yeah.
You're up, Adam. Fishmonger.
Jake, did you have anything else to say about Daimyo?
Oh, I don't think so. No, yeah, great card.
Okay. Fishmonger is a 2-cost action shadow. +1 buy, +$1. You can play this from your deck as if in your hand. Okay. First of all, we are adding to the list of things in Dominion that are monged.
Thank you.
So I'm really pleased.
Yeah. The name of this thing reminds me of a cross between Ironmonger and Fisherman.
Yeah. That's very pleasing to me. Any case,
They had a baby.
Yeah, and it's a fish.
Monger.
Yeah, I think the fishmonger is the little kid in the. I don't think the fishmonger is the fish that he's holding, Adam.
The fish is being monged by the.
Wait, you think that's a little kid?
I think it's an old woman.
The art is
very blurry.
The art is very low res here. I assume that
Yeah.
as a child, unless I know otherwise, because that's the safest way to be.
I mean, depending on when this was set, child labor was. Anyway, this is terminal.
Anyway.
This is terminal, and it's basically +1 card, +$1, +1 buy, and that is It's hard for me to imagine a deck where I'm really popping off and happy about all 3 of those things.
Sometimes you need a buy.
This seems like it's good in money density, right?
That's what I was wondering, because like if you're not gonna have, I mean, it depends, right? Are you playing a money density deck that is going to have a terminal anyways? That terminal is probably better than this. But if you get 1 or 2 copies of this and you can just say, I hit 1 less than my price point.
Yeah, it's like a coin token every shuffle. It's like way better than Candlestick Maker because you don't care about the fact that it's terminal, but you're getting that whenever you want, even before you drew the card, right? Kind of.
Yeah, I actually think opening. Okay, how often do you open with this instead of, like, let's say that, again, this fictional kingdom where you don't care about anything that costs less than 5 and you need to hit a price point. How often do you like get this instead of a silver, right? To like you open silver fishmonger instead of silver to like.
That's like, I feel like you want to hit 6, right?
Yeah, or like, I don't know, what, maybe, I bet like probably on those boards where you want to hit like inheritance as quickly as possible, you probably get one of these, right?
Let me ask you this. What about opening Fishmonger?
Well, that's weird.
You're hitting 6 guaranteed. No, you're not, because it's terminal. Okay, that seems bad.
4/5 on turns 3 and 4.
Double fishy seems bad.
Double fishy seems bad. If you could hit double fives with it, I would be a lot warmer on it, but that doesn't work.
You're hitting 5/4, and you can get more cheap things if you want because it's buys.
Fishmonger Gardens.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fishmonger Gardens. Seems bad.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be very good. Very.
Fishmonger Philstone. I actually think that's not crazy.
So you open Potion Fishmonger.
Yeah. Yeah, probably get a second potion.
I mean, it still seems pretty.
That's bad.
Like,
Yeah,
it
that's bad.
seems like a good
It's bad.
case for Philstone,
It's bad.
and it's still really bad overall.
Still pretty bad. If this is the only plus buy,
Yeah.
I think I'm considering it. But otherwise, I think this is pretty bad.
If it's the only plus buy, I'm probably getting it. If for some reason I'm playing money or just a million buys, like
I think it plays nice with like other terminals and money. I think that's fine.
some number of other terminals, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
The ability to use it as a super scuffed coin token in things where you want to spike, like, keeps me from taking it below like a 3. Like niche buy. But like I think that this is going to be a card you buy, not never, but you're going to remember every game that you buy it because it was the game that you bought Fishmonger. And
I don't think that's the case because like I buy Herbalist and I don't remember all the times I buy that, and I think this card is a lot better than Herbalist.
It's better than Herbalist.
I think it's a little bit better than Herbalist.
It's an extra plus card on top of Herbalist.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you don't get to top deck your gold.
You don't get to top deck a treasure, which is such the power of Herbalist.
Yeah, I guess like the fact that it has plus buy on it means you're gonna buy it like enough of the time that I think you talked me up to 4.
I'm at 4.
I was at 4 and I'm thinking about 5, but I'm not gonna do it. All right, Gold Mine.
Gold Mine is a 5-cost action. It says plus a card, plus an action, plus a buy. And it also says you may gain a gold and get +4 debt.
That is so much.
It is a lot of debt.
And this costs
That's
5?
a 4. Okay. I thought that I was about to rate this card super high because of the low resolution because of the art, because that 4 looked like a 1.
It does kind of look like a 1.
So this became a completely different card for me.
I'm not sure it would be great even if it was 1 debt, but it would obviously be a lot better.
Yeah, it would be way better. If this was 1 debt, it would be a very solid card.
This costs 5. These numbers are wrong. How are these numbers? It had to be just absolutely busted with lower numbers, but like this thing costs 5 and gives you 4 debt?
I mean, I think if it like cost, well, okay, let me think about it this way. If I'm playing money, this kind of gets me 4-cost golds.
But
right?
you have to buy this and draw it in your money deck, and like that.
It takes a while to get me there, but
Yeah.
once it's there, it kind of gets me 4-cost golds. Except then when I want a green, I pretty much need to stop getting them.
Oh,
Yeah,
this seems very bad.
I really want this. I want this to be the kind of card that is like busted when you're drawing your deck, and it's like cost neutral because the golds would pay off the debt. But it's more debt than the gold. It's like I have to imagine that in playtesting it must have been busted, and there were a bunch of decks that were like just like gaining the gold for free effectively, and that was considered too good for.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is, because it's 4 debt, right? If I'm drawing my deck, which is I think where this is, I don't actually think that the 4-cost golds for money is a very effective.
Oh, I know why it's 4, because if you if
you're drawing your deck, you're net down 1 money this turn if you can then draw the gold that you gained, right?
Yeah. That I wanted it to be like net 0. Like that's where gold mine was like seemed like good to me.
Yeah, but then you just autopile the golds.
Really good because you would just it'd be a really good way to ramp your econ, get like one of these, and then you have your econ ramped and you just have to keep adding draw.
You wouldn't autopile the golds, Adam. You would get as many golds as you had gold mines.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Well, and
I
you still need to
think
draw to support that.
I was being dramatic.
I don't think that would be busted. Like if you just like gain.
Yeah, actually,
No, but it would probably be
it wouldn't
pretty
be.
good as a way to ramp your money.
Yeah.
You had to put these $5 cards in your deck and then get it to the point where you're overdrawing, and now you just get to shove some golds in your deck one time.
Yeah.
Let's not forget though, this is still a cantrip with a buy on it. Like this is still like.
Right, it's a $5 cantrip buy.
Yeah.
That's what this card is good for.
Well, okay.
I think it's trash otherwise.
No, I think you're being too hard on it. I think this is a little below average for a 5 cost. I don't think it's that much worse. Because,
4 out of 10.
3 out of 10.
Yeah, I think 4 exactly because it's slightly below average. That's like, I think you'll still get it. Anyway.
This thing should cost 4. It should cost 4. I'd be a lot more warm if it costs 4. This doesn't do enough to cost 5 because all it does is card action buy. I'm comparing it to market.
Adam, I think you're being too hard on the gain gold. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like, I know I just spent a bunch of time like talking, like trash talking the fact that you have to gain 4 debt, but like the ramping your econ in, even if it's like takes a turn to realize the benefit of that is still pretty okay when you're drawing your deck. Like,
I mean, I think I'd rather have actual markets mostly though, because
yeah, no, I would.
Like with this, you're gonna have to keep getting draw, and you're less reliable if you have a lab and a gold than if you have a market and a market or whatever.
Yeah. That all of that's valid. This is like that's why it's a 4 for me.
Yeah.
And I think the game gold is like a fun. Yeah, it's a little boring. It's a little weak, but it's not like unplayable. It's fine.
All right. Next up, Jake.
Okay, Imperial Envoy. This is a 5 cost action. Plus 5 cards, plus 1 buy, plus 2 debt. Oh, this one's interesting. This is spicy. I love this kind of card.
Yeah.
I mean, plus 5 cards, plus 1 buy, that's like an incredible effect, obviously. But the fact that like there are some universes where you can like regret playing it because it's like, I wish these cards are trash. I wish I didn't have the 2 debt. Obviously, like having cycled 5 cards through your deck is probably worth the effect. But anyway, yeah, this is good. I like this card. I like the design of it.
I think the most important thing about this card is that it teaches you that being part of an empire costs you a little debt, but it gives you the ability to buy things, and you don't have to discard or reveal yourself to other people, like because you've got the protection of the.
Yeah, so I love this design.
Imperialism?
What?
Oh, were you saying thematically this is teaching you about imperialism?
Yeah, because compared to Envoy.
Just like how Dominion teaches you about medievalness, right?
Yeah.
I learned everything I know about medieval times from Dominion.
I neither agree nor disagree with that statement. Just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss something. Okay.
It's because there's this card called Envoy that also gives you plus 5 cards, but kind of, but not really. But it's a strange comparison.
Yeah, I really wish this was a higher resolution picture because I want to take a look at the guy's face in the art and make sure it's not making that same dumb expression that Envoy's making.
What is he holding? Is that like a fork?
I believe
Scroll?
Scroll.
Like the low res art is This card's interesting because I think this kind of also falls into the same niche I was just talking about, where it's like a powerful card you don't want that many of.
I think you want a lot of these.
I don't know, because the last like this is a bad. So like a lot of the time, if you're overdrawing, you don't care that much. But like if you're overdrawing with this, that's
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you don't. This is the same thing with like Hunting Grounds and Council Room. It's one of those cards that draws so much that you put more copies in your deck than you plan to play, just so you like make sure you have enough of them, but you don't have to play them all.
I'm not going to get 8 of these to draw my 20 card deck.
Yeah, but like if you have one, maybe 2 of these left over after drawing your deck that you don't play, that's fine.
If you compare this to Council Room, right? It's
way better.
1 card further, and it gives you 2 debt, and you don't have to have your opponent draw a card.
Yeah, I'm not trying to argue this is a weak card. I'm trying to say that I don't think you want that many of them.
I mean, I think you will probably want to, if there's other draw available, it won't surprise me if you often get mixed draw between this and some of the other options.
I disagree.
I don't know.
I think this outclasses almost every other source of terminal draw in the game. 9 out of 10.
I agree that it seems like one of the top terminal draw cards.
I don't see ever mixing this with other terminal draw.
I didn't. I said like, draw. I didn't mean terminal draw. There are some labs and hunting parties and
sure.
I think there are 2 reasons that you will mix this with other draw when you have the option, and that's that this draw, like the more of these you use to draw your deck versus those other sources of draw, the less payload you have for your turn, because like they are costing the deck. And these do feel pretty bad to draw the last like 2 or 3 cards of your deck with. I'm like, it's not like the end of the world, because usually those 2 or 3 cards are probably going to get you more than the debt. But like, I don't know. It's just, I think like if you have the option of mixing this with other draw, you'll do it.
7 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think you guys are, I think most of your criticisms are not valid or practical. 9 out of 10, I think you're underestimating this card. This is really, really good.
I mean, I'll go 8 just because like 5 is a big number. But like, yeah, go 8.
Yeah, I'm really warm on this card. As long as the expression on that guy's face isn't really dumb.
For the record, Adam, I think we're both like, I think we all think it's about the same level of power. We're just like talking about how you play it in the deck that you build when it's on the board. Like I think I'm not like saying like these are the reasons you will not buy Imperial Envoy. I'm saying these are the reasons that you'll like not get.
You'll build your
copy
deck.
You'll get other stuff with it. But
you'll build your deck better with more payload because this card is so powerful that it can support a stronger deck, and that more than cancels out the 2 debt that it gives you. Yeah.
Fantastic. Kitsune.
5 cost action attack Omen.
Okay.
It gives you 1 what?
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Gives you 1 sun. Choose 2 different options. +2 actions, +$2. Each other player gains a curse. Gain a silver.
Okay, real quick, we should probably address what these suns are, right?
Yeah, so that's the Omen card type. And the sun gives you progress towards the prophecy. So like Omen is to liaison what prophecy is to ally. So the Omen tells you to go pick out a prophecy, and that prophecy is there for this game, and that's what the suns do, right? So the suns are like favors, the Omens are like liaisons, and the prophecies are like allies.
If I remember when I read right, once
the prophecy doesn't start out like active. The prophecy starts out as like a thing that's going to happen someday. It's a prophecy. And when sun tokens are drained from it, the prophecy is active. So
and both players are working towards that. Like if I play a Kitsune and you play a Kitsune, we've each drained a sun.
The more players there are, the more suns start on the prophecy.
Right.
But yeah, like Wandering Winder said, you're both, whenever you gain a sun, you take it off of the prophecy card. I want to propose something for this review, and that's that we actually take a
prophecies now.
Yeah, I think we should look at the prophecies before we start talking about the cards that interact with them.
I agree with that. Where are they in the
They
rule?
are.
Scroll down.
They're blue.
Oh, okay, they're light blue. Oh, that's such a lovely color, like a cerulean.
It's not that light. It's not like a powder blue. It's
Like
like
a teal.
It's a cerulean.
No, it's not a cerulean. It's teal.
Anyway,
Leave a comment in the comments section. So this one, Approaching Army, is a prophecy. After you play an attack card, plus $1. Set up, add an attack kingdom card to the supply. So when all the suns are exhausted, all the attack cards in the kingdom make you an extra $1, and there's guaranteed to be an attack in the kingdom.
well, that's going to make the attacks pretty good.
It's going to make them about
How many,
$1 better.
I don't know. I don't think it makes them that much better because most attacks are terminal.
Yeah, this one seems
Most
like it
attacks
doesn't mean all that much.
Pretty good anyway.
Sure. Yeah, the thing I'm trying to answer for myself when I read these is how much does this prophecy change my play, change what deck I'm building from what I would have done otherwise. I don't think Approaching Army is going to change what I was going to do.
Well, so here's something that I'll say for this, right? Is for all of these, it becomes active as soon as the last counter is removed.
Yeah.
It happen mid-turn. So like if I enable this, then all of my attacks before you get another turn that I play this turn are giving me an extra money, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Like, oh man, I want to be the one that breaks this. Whatever. I mean, sure, it's fine, but it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But what I will say is, if we think this is going to be broken, you might load up on attacks. Probably not for the most part, though. There are a few like cantrip attacks, but not many.
Well, so I was saying in the chat earlier that this whole like for the record, this prophecy doesn't seem as impactful to me as what I would be talking about here. But like, if we see some prophecies that are super impactful, then I would call this the next iteration of like what a lot of people would call the dance in Dominion, where we've seen things like, I know like Adam hates the term penultimate province rule, but like the whole dancing you do around like the province pile.
Proper end game play.
Yeah, like what you sometimes see people do with like encampment plunders, with like revealing when you want to reveal the next pile. Less often, but still sometimes, is like people will dance around like the gladiator fortune thing to reveal the gladiator.
Yeah.
Sauna Avanto, things like that. I think this is just
Gladiator Fortune, I think, is a great analogy for this.
Yeah, it's the next iteration of the dance, right? With these, like, if there's a really impactful prophecy, there's going to be some very interesting gameplay in like how many sun tokens you take off.
Counterpoint. This is going to be the most. I haven't read any of the rest of them. This is going to be the most impactful prophecy.
Oh God!
Of the setup rule.
Because what?
Because of the setup rule, just adding an attack to the kingdom is going to be impactful.
Okay.
Okay.
You might be right, but I hope you're not. I hope we do see some
technically correct. The best kind.
I do.
I haven't read any of the other prophecies yet.
I hope we see some bombshell prophecies that enable that kind of like really important dance back and forth, because that's like my favorite kind of Dominion. To me, when I'm thinking about like if I play this thing and get a sun token, then I'm safe because my opponent can only take one. But what if he gains a sun token thing on his turn and then he can get the thing before me? That's to me when Dominion is like banging on all cylinders, and that's like the game.
Yeah.
It's like not clear that they're only going to be able to take one. The one sun token card, what are they called? Omen, that we've seen.
Yes.
The ability to be like you can play a bunch of them theoretically.
Right. Well,
sure.
Tracking how many.
That was just an example.
Yeah.
Yes, you're tracking how far they can go with it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next prophecy.
So I have a question. I definitely want to like skim through all the prophecies. I'm on the allies analogy. Yeah. Like a lot of the allies were sort of minor, but some of them were really impactful, and I kind of expect the same here. Is there some kind of omen card that's like underling, where the entire identity of that card is the sun?
Maybe.
I don't know. I haven't read the cards yet.
Maybe, well, let's find out.
Right. Well, I guess we'll go through the prophecies. Biting. So I read Approaching Army. I guess I'll read like 3. Biting time. At the start of your cleanup, set aside your hand face down. At the start of your turn, put those cards into your hand. It's ice cream from Slay the Spire.
Is that what ice
No,
cream?
no, that's not.
Ice
what
cream was an energy relic,
ice cream
right?
is energy. You're thinking of like
What's-
it's Runic Pyramid.
Runic Pyramid. That's the one.
Kind of.
It's Runic
This is
Pyramid.
really good.
But with no hand size limit. That's
A
nuts.
really good effect. First of all, like
You only have to draw green cards once.
all of the junk in your deck, like you draw it once and that's it, right?
Yeah, and on top
This
of
is
that,
crazy for money decks.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, that is really powerful.
If you can get this online early. But also like it can
If you can get it online,
Well, remember, you're not getting it online for yourself. You're getting it online for both of you.
I know.
So, like in practice, like
this can just like
what do I do? What do I do with this information as a player? Like, am I?
just coppers.
Yeah, I guess like
That's
You saw it draw
nuts.
it once.
what circumstances do I try to either fast track or slow roll the prophecy? Like I'm like usually okay.
Yeah.
The weird thing is that in Dominion at least if the game is anything like I remember at like higher levels, like 9 games out of 10, you and your opponent are like going to be doing something very similar, and you be same deck or similar deck, and you're like competing to execute it better. So like this whole prophecy thing is kind of weird in that like you're not gonna like be thinking like, oh, is this better for me than it is for them? It's probably gonna be the same for both of you. It just matters which one.
Yeah, I mean that goes kind of to the gladiator thing where like you don't want to be the one
Yeah.
to do the work
Yeah.
to set up fortune, except when your opponent, sometimes you do. Like if your opponent's not set up to be able to use fortune.
Right.
that-
Yeah, but that's because Gladiator is terminal. I think whether it's like terminal or like payload or deck control probably contributes a lot to who wants to do quote the work
Sure.
and how good that
Yeah,
card is. But in terms of
How
who benefits more from this, is it the player that's ahead or the player that's behind or the player that's building
Ahead
more?
in what way? So I think this.
I don't know.
nine times out of
Go ahead, Jake.
9 times out of 10 in the scenario I was describing where you're doing something similar, the only thing that would really matter in a shared resource like this is who gets the first crack at it. And I'm like, so that's what I was trying to ask is like, does it matter if I got the first biting time? I don't know. Anyway, sorry. I
Probably.
So what I was gonna say is this gives you a ton of reliability, whatever you're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to draw your deck, you're suddenly, if the trashing wasn't great, enabling this is very quickly going to effectively trash all of the junks out of your deck, right?
This also, yes.
And then also then like you can
It's like unlimited saves for free.
right, you
It's
can hold
way
back,
better.
You can hold back a village or
Payload.
a draw card.
Yeah.
Make you be
Payload.
very reliable. If you're not going to use your payload,
Yeah.
play it.
That I think is going to be relevant certainly, but is like kind of not as good as it sounds like because of course like you probably want to if you have good cards in your hand and you're drawing your deck every turn, you probably want to play your good cards, but not always.
It's going to make you supremely reliable if you're trying
Yeah.
to draw your deck. And
Yeah,
if you're trying to do money, then
It's gonna make you reliable there too.
it's going to be every few turns. Like if you don't hit the price point you need, you get to save everything else back, and you're going to get there.
Or you can just like punt a
That's
turn
what I mean.
and then province every turn the rest of the game no matter what.
Or you set up a mega turn. Or I wonder, like, do you start greening really quickly with biting time on the board?
Well,
I wonder what the counterplay is. Like, is this better for money density than it is for decks that draw themselves? I don't
I think
know.
it depends.
It could be.
I don't think it affects it. I don't think it changes that power dynamic.
I do.
I just think that the decks, the money density deck is going to be as good in relation to other kinds of decks as it was. I think it like affects them both very similarly.
I don't think you want to necessarily. So, do you want to green really early? I think it depends on if you're like. I don't know that you want to green way before this thing is going to be enabled.
Okay, so
But maybe a little.
I'm
before.
trying to. I have an idea here. Biding time when this happens is huge amounts of deck control,
Yeah.
right? So let's say at a certain point in the game, you know you're going to get huge amounts of deck
Right.
control. What do you want your deck to be at that point? You want it to be really payload heavy,
Yeah.
right? So that you're ready for this huge influx of deck control that's happening to you for the rest of the game.
Well,
What deck is mostly just a bunch of payload? It's money density. It hasn't invested early turns into payload or into deck control. It's just buying a bunch of payload and dealing with the fact that it gives up deck control. But if you just get deck control for free, building in terms of money density and shoving payload in your deck from turn 1 of the game sounds great. Sounds a lot better to me than punting the first 7 turns of the game so you can have a huge deck control.
So that's kind of like I like that analysis, but the thing that I'm concerned about is, so there's going to be, I'm going to say one of two scenarios, but actually it could be in between. Either it's going to be easy to enable this, in which case, like kind of yes, or it's going to be hard to enable this, in which case you can't. I guess what I'm saying is at some point the deck that's drawing actually has more payload in it. And if it takes too long to get to that point, you still want to be the deck that's drawing.
Right. How many suns are in a 2-player game?
5.
I also want to point out this is an influx of deck control, but it's a specific kind of deck control. This isn't an influx of the kind of deck control that's going to make every turn you have explosively better. This is, like you guys said, reliability, right? It's an influx of reliability.
So the money density deck is still probably going to top out at buying a province a turn.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, but you know, by the time the deck that draws itself starts doing its thing, the money density deck, if it's played well and is reasonable, probably has like 2, maybe 3 provinces. So it has a lead, and then it's going to be able to accelerate towards the end of the game instead of pooping out.
Unless this thing gets turned on really fast, in which case it lets the deck that's drawing itself get to the point where it's drawing itself much faster and be able to ramp.
But the money density deck also draws itself much faster and can pivot immediately.
Maybe
So here's another thing that I'm thinking about.
I think it really depends on the specifics more than the generalities that we're talking about.
I agree, but I'm just trying to give myself tools to analyze a kingdom I've never seen before with this thing I've never seen before and figure out how good it is, right? And I'm trying to put that in the framework of what I know about Dominion. Go ahead, Jake.
I thought that shadows were going to be the weird part of this expansion to talk about, but they're not. These prophecies are very interesting.
This is so cool.
We should probably move on though, because like I don't want to be podcasting for another 9 hours. I need to.
Right. Sure. I guess I want to say that this is probably a 10 out of 10. Whatever.
So I don't know that it. This is the class of thing that I don't feel like it makes sense to grade, but
obviously
this is going to be mega impactful.
10 out of 10. I think hot take. This is better for money density.
Okay.
Than it is for decks that draw themselves. Wandering Winter, let's read Bureaucracy.
Yes. Bureaucracy is another one of these prophecies, and it says, when you gain a card that doesn't cost 0, gain a copper.
That is so cool.
That's rude.
That's way better for money density.
Yeah. If you can get this on, it's going to make Watchtower a lot better.
Oh my god, junking cards become brutal. If I give you a curse, you get a copper. If looters, I guess. If I told you, or the thing that gives you a ruin, don't you get a ruins
cost 0.
Oh, what junk cost? Okay, whatever. Never mind.
estates, and nobody makes you like you don't have to.
Yeah, rip Ambassador.
Swindler, if I swindle you, Ambassador, Swindler, but then those cards got killed and
What is
Swindler's still around.
what is the new ambassador thing that you like trash them?
Shaman, Charmin.
Yeah,
We
you have
don't.
to pick up an estate out of the trash for Shaman.
Shaman's on my ban list and it's on my tournament ban list. I don't even care. This is cool.
All we're going to do with this is play a garden stack.
I think this is so cool.
I love this.
Yeah.
Do you pile coppers? I don't know. So like, I'm like trying to think like what does this do to games? Does this like
You are not getting control of your deck.
Well,
That's what it is.
Watchtower.
well
Okay.
yeah, or you get control of your deck before bureaucracy sets in? Is that a thing? Like you get
And then when bureaucracy sets in, it's gone.
No.
well, what if you get so much control?
Like, if you still have a couple of your, like if you have a couple of junk dealers that you use to trash early,
Yeah.
and if you gain a couple coppers a turn, you can just keep playing the junk dealers and trashing them.
That seems so bad.
It does, but I think that this has the potential to create this situation where like you need to like race to get control of your deck so that you're reliably
I think
finding out
you
your
need
tracker.
to have good enough, or just like if you trashed with a chapel early, how often are you gaining more than 4 cards in a turn? So you just need to be able to play the chapel still.
You have to draw those coppers though.
Yeah,
You're
for
gonna
sure.
buy 4 cards and now you have 4 coppers and a chapel in your deck that you have to draw. That's so bad.
That's true. I think it's largely this. I think if the deck control is good enough, you can still do it, but it needs to be a lot better than normal.
I think this one's funny because this is the one you don't want to turn on your turn. You're like this is like oh I have this really good sun card, but like if I play it now I'm gonna get inundated with coppers. That's funny.
Unless I'm playing
9 out of 10.
or you can donate every turn.
Yeah, copper out of 10.
Yeah.
I don't know what rating these does either.
I agree with copper out of metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Divine Wind.
Ooh, Divine Wind.
Jake.
Oh, I heard this one's crazy. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Okay, when you remove the last sun, remove all kingdom cards from the supply of 10 new piles. Excuse me?
What?
When you remove the last sun from this, remove all kingdom piles from the supply and set up 10 new random piles. What? I don't have any strategic...
Dominion's a computer game now.
Yeah.
I'm never doing this IRL.
Yeah, no. This is obviously in every tournament ban list ever, right?
Yeah, this is on my tournament ban list.
Ruins, Oceans, Platinum, and Colony are not removed. Do any setup for them that they require, including...
Oh, you gain a coin token from Baker. Woo!
This is... I feel weird about this. I mean, okay, this is interesting in some ways. It's like there's like 2 games of Dominion. You like play 2 full games of Dominion. So like I actually think that okay, I have zero strategic analysis for this. I don't think that there's anything useful that I can say about this that's going to like give anybody an edge in Divine Wind.
All I can say is I've read the FAQ and you can unempty piles by removing them from the game.
So if you
all right, new turn 1 win, empty the supply on turn 1 with Divine Wind. Empty both supplies.
Well, okay.
I want to see it.
Yeah, so you unempty piles so you can like unend the game. Yeah, it's weird. This is so I mean this is like such a burden.
Flip the table.
This is such a burden on IRL games.
Yeah.
This is like I think like okay, the one thing I will say is that if Divine Wind comes up in your kingdom in practice, if you're like I don't have time to play 2 games of actually this is worse for online play because like if you play an online random board, like let's say you've got time to play a game of Dominion, but you don't have time to play 2 games of Dominion.
I mean, you're probably emptying the provinces still. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be twice as long online. I'd give it like 1.3 on average. Same as Mountebank.
The thing about this strategically is probably like if there are good cards on the board, you want to make sure that you're well set up before this thing gets triggered. and if you can trigger this reliably somehow without your opponent being well set up, then that's great. Alternatively, if the board is pretty weak, like you could go for this in the hopes of, but
Oh, that seems like fishing for chapel in the black
really
market.
desperate unless you're like quite far behind.
Yeah, so I actually that quite far behind thing. I take it back. There is one strategic note about this that I can point out.
Deck control early comes.
Well,
trashing becomes a lot better.
Getting a point lead on a Divine Wind board is probably less important, right? Because if somebody builds more and the Divine Wind is out and they can get to a critical mass of like being able to threaten Divine Wind.
Oh, threaten, yeah. Karnarok's threatening a 3-pile, yeah.
Yeah, threatening a 3-pile.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It definitely changes the 3-pile nature, but I don't know. It depends on how you're getting the point lead. Like if you're getting the point lead because I have 5 provinces.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, it's different.
I forgot you don't restock provinces. Okay, so yeah.
But I see what you're saying, Jake. It's not like a point lead with but you're like, oh, I'm gonna get a province and then threaten to empty 3 piles.
Workshop Gardens Rush, and then like
table
and suddenly I've got to do a lot more work to empty the piles. Then sure, but like don't do that.
This is a crazy card. I mean, this is a wild card. I am reserving judgment on how I feel about it. I like in terms of like IRL play that this sucks for like people playing. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Unless they're like, somebody who doesn't mind spending like twice as long to play a game of Dominion. And that, to be fair, that is some people, but like, oh my God, if you're playing like a 3 or 4 person game, that's like your hour-and-a-half game of Dominion just became a 3-hour game of Dominion.
Yeah, I feel like I'm glad this is in the game. Do I want to play with this card is a different question than do I think this should be in the
game. I think it's not for you, Adam. I don't think it's for me. I don't think it's for anyone on this call.
It gives a lot of black market vibes to me.
I don't hate this.
I like black market a lot more than I like this.
Well, I'm going to disagree, but that's a disagreement about black market.
I don't disagree. I think that Jake does like black market a lot more than this.
I think
Thank you for that.
Black market has a lot of strategic impact on the game and challenges your like game state reading skills in a way that I don't think Divine Wind does. I'm gonna like throw. I haven't played with it, so like that claim of mine doesn't mean very much. I'm not that convicted here. But like, I doubt that this is going to reward the more skilled player the way that black market tends to.
Okay, enlightenment, because this is going to be an 8-hour podcast.
This is like England from Spirit Island, the adversary. Enlightenment, it's my turn, right?
Well, Jake hasn't had a turn yet, and you've done 2 and I've done 1.
You read Divine Wind, Jake. It's my turn.
Oh, yeah.
Enlightenment. Treasures are also actions. That's normal. When you play a treasure in an action phase, instead of following its instructions, plus a card, plus an action. Oh, you can just cantrip all your treasures.
Get nerfed, Crown.
Oh, wow, that's rough.
It turns off Crown.
So you can just cantrip all your treasures if you want, right? That's basically what it is.
Yeah,
except for Crown.
It's like a weird like inheritance for coppers. No, not really.
And spell scroll. Rip in peace, spell scroll.
This kills certain cards. It's hilarious.
This just thins your coppers for you, right? Well, that's really all this does.
It's not just your coppers. It like also turns it. Actually, no. I think this does more than that because there are
slightly more, but I don't care about it.
I think on some boards it does a lot more because there are some boards that have treasure gainers. And those treasure gainers can be a way to dramatically increase your like payload per turn. I'm thinking about things like Swashbuckler and the like. And I
Storyteller becomes a village.
Well, a lot of the drawback,
but it can't draw you near as much anymore.
But
It's just the thing
With
that-
coppers, it draws you the same.
the drawback, like you've got like things that man, I can't remember the names of a lot of these cards, but like these things that like tend to gain you treasures on your like during your action phase. Those kinds of boards tend to have really explosive payload turns, but they tend to be like unreliable, right? You shove a bunch of treasures into your deck, and that means that like you grow your payload per turn very quickly. But the drawback is, of course, you can like brick with a handful of those treasures. But like Enlightenment makes those boards, I mean, those decks just get better than they were, right?
I have a question.
Bigger.
How long is this in effect? Is this still in effect during scoring? Does it make vineyards amazing?
That's a good question. Let's see if it says so.
I feel like
It's for all.
I feel like Vineyards is amazing now with this.
Is it?
Flourishing Trade.
All right. Flourishing Trade. Yeah, sorry, I was reading stuff. Let's read this stuff. Flourishing Trade.
Wondering when.
I'll do it.
Oh.
Flourishing Trade is the next one of these, and it just says the cards cost one less, and you may use action plays as buys.
Action
Here,
plays? Like,
here,
is that just remaining
I think that's
actions?
like how Village gives you +2 actions. You can use those actions as buys instead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It just didn't want to say you can use actions as buys because that would be confusing.
That could be action cards.
This wording makes me uncomfortable. It should just say leftover actions can be converted to buys in your buy phase.
People could think like, oh, it's an action card in my hand that I didn't play.
Yeah.
There isn't a great wording that I can think of off the top of my
Yeah.
head, but I also feel like there should probably be a better one than this.
Yeah, this was going to be confusing no matter what. This is the one that I think is really important to get the first crack at. This is the one where I think this is that bombshell one I was talking about, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is the one. Huh?
I mean, the game can just end.
Yeah, this is like you could end this on the turn you activate it. You could realistically, or it's like, you do this and then there's like another turn or two left in the game. This is like really important, really dangerous to like let your opponent have a full turn with this active. Like if their deck is capable at all, like they'd probably end the game.
So it somewhat depends. Like, are there a bunch of villages around, whatever? Because but if there are, I end up like you could build your deck to where you're going to end up with 6 extra action plays or something like that. You're already buying a couple cards per turn anyway. Everything costs one less. It's very easy to empty the estates now.
Yeah, this is like a little bit of a mega turn you don't have to draw, all like wrapped into a global. I mean, it's not a mega, but like it's.
I'm not seeing any of that. This seems just
Well,
like Canal.
I'll show you, Adam. Like,
I don't.
We'll play some games. I'll show you all of that.
It is like
I feel like that happens in one of 20 boards with this.
Canal, but I think Canal is pretty impactful anyway. And then the getting extra buys is useful.
Yeah.
I am skeptical.
I don't think this is as impactful as some of the other ones we've seen.
I think it's the most impactful one we've seen.
Like I think the bureaucracy where you have to gain a copper with everything is really impactful. Or biding time where you get to keep your hand for next hand is really impactful.
Okay, I blocked out bureaucracy because I just didn't want to think about it. But but I do think
4 out of 10.
I think this okay. I'm giving this an Adam out of 10.
I'm giving this a capitalism out of 10. Wait, no, capitalism is another Dominion thing. They've used too many words already.
Georgism. They didn't.
Good Harvest.
Mercantilism out of 10.
Isn't that? I feel like mercantilism is a Dominion card. Am I like Mandela affecting this? Anyway.
Yes, you are. Good Harvest. Whose turn is it? I'm going to do it.
Jake.
Good Harvest. The first time you play each differently named treasure each turn, first. What? Okay, what? The first time you play each differently named treasure each turn, first, +1 buy, +1 coin. Okay.
Why do we need first again?
I don't know why you need to get
It's saying you get the coin in the buy before the treasure result.
for the effects of the treasure, but I don't know.
Oh, because fortune, raw. Okay, fine.
This is another funny one where like I don't know what the better wording was, but there probably was one. But anyway.
The commas do help a little bit.
This one, I mean, this is just like a global plus 2 or 3 buys and plus $2 or $3 every turn. This
seems
matters.
great for a money deck.
Yeah.
This matters, but I don't think it like really affects your play that much. I don't think you like.
It's definitely better for money density than it is for a deck that draws.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't.
Except that it is another source of plus buy if the deck that was drawing needed plus buy.
Yeah, but it doesn't get access to it until. I think this is.
I don't know how long
better
it's going to take to get access to it, but I agree. I think this is great because like so many money hands, you have a copper and a silver, and you just have 2 more money now, which is so huge for a money deck. Whereas if you're drawing your deck, okay, so I have 2 more money. That's not nearly as big a deal relatively.
My question when I'm looking at all of these is like, can I realistically think of a game where I am going to play my turn differently because of the threat of turning this on, or because of the threat or promise of turning this on? And for most of these, it's been maybe, yeah, probably. For this one, I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's going to be like a nice to have effect, but like, I doubt I'm going to,
For this one, so you said play your turn differently. I think for this one, I might plan my entire strategy differently.
Really?
Yeah, this definitely pushes me towards money.
But like, the thing is, if you get pushed toward money and I don't, and money is worse, I can just not, like, the money deck is probably.
You don't know how easy this is to activate. So it's all a question of, right, like, can I activate this while playing money, right? If I'm beholden on my opponent to activate it and they don't have to, then yeah. Obviously.
I think it's a pretty safe assumption that a money deck is not going to have a lot of control by itself over when this gets turned on, because we do know that most of these are. Maybe it's not, but like, I think it's like an educated guess, because most of the sun things seem to be on actions, and like, and also, even if they're not on actions, they are on specific cards. And what do money decks not do? Play specific cards in their deck very often.
You don't need to play it that often.
It needs to go 5 times. I think like, I don't think like, if I've decided I don't want this to go off, I can't stop it forever. But I probably, if I'm not playing a money deck versus a money deck, I probably get to decide within like a few turns of when it goes off.
If you get 1 copy of a card that does this, you get one sun removed per shuffle.
Yeah.
In a money deck, that is going to take too long. But you can get more than 1 copy.
Sure. But like, yeah, I guess like the question is like, does the money deck even want that card? And yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, I think that this probably will rarely, if ever, change what strategy I want to go for or how I play my turn. I do think it'll matter when it turns on and off, because the buys and money will matter, but like, I don't think it really changes what I do at any point.
I think it's interesting if this is the only plus buy.
Yeah.
Because then like the buff to money really matters, because if someone wants to draw and build to where they're getting multiple things on a turn, they have to do this, which buffs the money deck. So it has to be really, really good and only missing the plus buy and ready to just pop off when this thing goes off. And also make it happen by itself, because the money player can just play money. And
it's also hard to be ready to pop off, I think, because
without the plus
you
buy.
won't have plus buy before. But that's the case where this is the only plus buy, and without this, you weren't building anyway. So I think when it's the only plus buy, it's really only going to help the player that's building.
Well,
I think the opposite.
I'm thinking about mirrors too. Like, let's say neither of you are playing money. You're both building a more elaborate deck, and like I think that when it's the only plus buy in that situation, that gets a little interesting, right? Because it's kind of like the city dynamic at that point, where like you're both kind of playing around which one of us gets a turn.
No, but the person who activates this is pretty much always going to just get the full first crack at all the plus buys, right?
For this one, yeah.
Yeah. So you want to be the one to activate it at that point, but that's still interesting.
Like,
Right?
I don't
You
know,
still
if you've played a bunch of crowns or something already, and then you got a little bit less, but that's marginal.
Yeah.
Or you played Storyteller and played all your treasures already, and again, that is marginal.
Yeah.
Great leader.
After each action card you play, +1 action. So it's champion.
Yeah.
I mean, this is better than champion because it's not a frickin' traveler.
Well, I mean, again, it's a question of how hard is it to... But it's
Well, it's going to be easier than champion. I have the same problem with this as I did with champion. Let's just throw out one of the mechanics that makes Dominion more fun and more difficult to play. I think this is lazy.
the travelers you play one of per... I mean, that's actually a good maybe example of how easy... You have to play each traveler once every step up, and you can't juice them by getting multiple copies, whereas with this, you can still play it once per shuffle, but you can juice it by getting more copies. And you have to get 5 plays, whereas for the travelers, you're going from 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6. It's only 4.
When you say of this, you're talking about of the thing that takes some
the omen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I'm like, so champion is obviously like pretty game warping. I'm trying to...
Yeah, I mean, 10 out of 10, but...
Is this more game warping or less game warping than champion? Because like, is it...
It's the same. Actually, probably more.
Solar.
It's easier to get online super early, so I think it warps the game even more.
I don't know. This one isn't very interesting for me to talk about.
Yeah, no, same. I
this one, I wish this wasn't in the game.
There's more of the dance because, like, you want to be getting a bunch of terminals, but then if it doesn't get turned on, that's really bad. So.
Yeah, I mean, and I like...
You're either building towards this or you're not. Like, whatever.
I like that in theory, that what you just said, Wonder, but like I share Adam's sentiment about this. I don't...
I mostly do too. I just think that's the only, like, quarter redeeming quality.
Yeah, sure.
It's not as... I don't hate this as much as I hate champion, but anyway, growth. Wandering Winder.
When you gain a treasure, gain a cheaper card.
That's fun.
Okay, can we just move on?
Harsh Winter.
No, I'm kidding.
I guess it doesn't... So it makes getting gold a lot better.
Yeah.
It makes getting...
And that's about it.
It makes getting silver a lot worse.
It depends.
Yeah.
Often a lot worse.
Yeah.
There's some good 2s.
The thing is, like, by the time... This makes certain cards way worse. It makes those treasure gainers worse that I was talking about.
If they gain golds.
But
I feel like growth should be in quotation marks.
A lot of the time, if I'm drawing my deck and gaining a gold every turn, I might want a silver. I might also want the silver. That's totally in the realm of possibility. But there are also plenty of decks where I'm like,
you don't have to gain a cheaper treasure. You get to gain any.
Oh, okay.
You can get a gold and a silver and a copper all at once.
Yeah. I could get...
And you could throw a ducat in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. This is weird. I don't know. Yeah.
You just like buy a gold, gain a hunting party or whatever.
Buy a gold.
Gain a duchy.
Yes.
Buy a fortune, then gain a 7-cost treasure, a bank, and then a gold, and then a venture. And then an investment, a silver, a ducat, and a copper.
Province, right? That works. Yeah.
Well, you could, but I wanna do treasures all the way down.
Okay.
Harsh Winter, Wandering Winter.
Alliance. When this is...
Oh God.
That's funny. But yeah.
That's pretty funny. All right, Wandering Winter, Harsh Winter.
Harsh Winter. When you gain a card on your turn, if there's debt on its pile, take it. Otherwise, put 2 debt on its pile. Tax we
What?
hardly knew ye.
This is just tax only different. Why did we need another
You
tax?
have to buy the tax, so it's less. Oh, this is just everything's gonna grind to a halt.
The theme is on point. Like, I don't know how much I love the idea of playing with this, but like the theme, you got it.
So
Tax is so unpopular. Why did they think this was a good idea?
you want to be the one to activate this, so then you gain a bunch of the cards. You don't have to pay any debt, and then your opponent does, and it just snowballs. This is terrible.
We also both we Donald has we know that he has the philosophy of if you don't like it, don't play with it.
Sure.
Which I personally think that there are issues with, especially in the context of
Competitive play.
Competitive play online where you tend to play with random boards. It's like not everybody wants to be the guy who says I don't want to play with that. And like, yeah. This is interesting. I don't know. I don't really think I'm going to ever alter my play around.
Here's what you do. You gain all your cards on your opponent's turn.
With possession? Or what, like?
No, just, I don't know. There's weird fringe ways to do it.
Okay.
Curse.
Yeah. This is weird. I'm surprised to see this printed too. Like, because like what you said, Adam, tax is unpopular. But like, when you gain a card on your turn, how can this make the game more interesting? What can you do?
Well, so the thing about tax is usually you get to a point in the game where people are mostly not buying tax because it's inefficient for a long stretch of the game. This, once it's on, the debt is always going to come back every other time the card gets gained.
It reminds me of those games with tax where people just tax everything and they never get anything done. And then they call me over to their table because they ran out of debt tokens even though they had all 40.
And they're like, oh, it's a stalemate because it was the right play. And you're like,
you both made big mistakes to get here.
I guess this one doesn't stalemate. That is something it has over tax. Well,
yeah, but I don't
know. That tax doesn't really stalemate either. I don't know. Let's move on. I don't want to look at this anymore.
I don't even 0 out of.
I can't even.
I'm mad.
I can't even think of like how does this affect the game, or what do I do? It's like I want to get a province for. I don't even. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, it's just.
It reminds me of like Donald X making weird temporum cards. It's like, oh, we're doing this game. Oh, it's different. It's fun. And then you do it one time and you're like, all right, that was too many for my lifetime. Like, you don't need to make cards like this. Kind Emperor. Is it Jake's turn?
It's about to be. Okay. At the start of your turn, and when you remove the last sun token, gain an action to your hand. Okay, this is interesting because they explicitly like mechanicked out the advantage of like somebody like activation order for this, right? They explicitly, there would be an advantage to not being the person who activates this, but they like they explicitly like undid that. I think that's the right call in this case, because if they didn't do that, you would end up in a situation where nobody wanted to be the one to turn it on, and then it just doesn't get turned on, and that's less interesting and less fun. So I like that they did this. Yeah, I mean, it's like this is
Piles empty.
as soon as
I said piles empty.
Yeah, as soon as this gets turned on, like the game is gonna accelerate. Yeah, like whatever was happening, it's about to happen way faster because you're gonna gain a village or a draw card to your hand every turn, or just pile.
This one's cool.
This one's cool.
I like this one.
Yeah. No real
Panic.
gameplay. Yeah.
Panic when you play a treasure, +2 buys, and when you discard 1 from play, return it to his pile. When you discard 1 treasure from play?
Any treasure. I think if you play 5 coppers, I mean, we can look at the
I need clarification.
This makes treasures into 1-use cards.
Yeah.
All
This
treasures.
is saying all the treasures become like labs.
Okay, this should say, and when you discard treasures from play, return them to their piles. Like that.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
This wording is just unclear,
This
but
is either going to speed up or slow down the game. That's funny. It's going to do one of the two.
it's gonna speed it up, then maybe slow it down
So-
if it's not over.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
you got to get rid of, you got to thin out all of your treasures, and you have to thin out all of
Yeah,
your treasures.
The coppers are gone. That's pretty rad. Can this like shut down money density?
Well, mostly,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Those buys don't do anything.
Unless what you're doing is playing gardens, because you get +2 buys and you can just buy a bunch of coppers. So like your deck gets
You love
a
gardens.
lot bigger, a lot. No, but seriously, this is probably like if this gets turned on early,
I love
you
how
buy a gardens and all the coppers you can.
I love how often, just in general, in the history of Dominion, how often we read a card and like there's like whatever strategic analysis, and then there's a separate section for and with gardens.
I do love gardens.
Yeah.
Oh, there was this guy who has this thread on Board Game Geek, and it's like he maintained it. I haven't checked it in a few years, but like every time a new expansion comes out, he would write a new post in this thread, and it's about the big deck strategy, BD for short. And he just tells you like he goes down the list of every single card in the set. This is good in a big deck strategy, and big deck strategies are underrated. And I'm like, this poor guy.
Bad.
This poor guy. I mean, he's having fun, but oh man. Anyway,
What I want to know is when.
I love that this is called Panic.
Remind me when the end game thing gets checked.
At the end of your turn, yeah, after things get returned.
Yeah. So
Okay, so if I buy out the rest of the coppers, but then have to return some coppers.
Yeah.
They're
not empty.
Okay, fantastic.
Wandering Winder wants copper to be the third pile in a
I
gardens
want
game.
coppers.
This is yeah. I don't know. I mean, like it's really interesting to think about like how this could potentially be like the big like the game is going to end within a turn or two, or the game is about to get a lot longer and there's no it's going to one of those two things is about to happen. That's interesting.
It reminds me of like if you can get this online fast enough, it reminds me of like pirate ship pins. Where like if you don't invest in virtual money, you can't do anything if pirate ship's being played on you so much. But
If there is no virtual money, which is pretty rare, but it can happen, then the game will devolve into
Panic?
like you're limping out on estates and whatever.
Yeah.
I wonder like can this really shut down big money enough of the time that this is a big deal? And I feel like
No, because
in playtesting, I would have been poking at this really hard and deciding that it wouldn't happen. Otherwise, they wouldn't have printed the card.
because big money is not that strong that often anyway. Like
I think how often this will shut down. Let's say like when we say big money, let's include the whole umbrella of strategies that aim to start greening early and care less about deck control, right?
So the money density
The
paradigm.
whole money density decks. Can this beat money density decks, or does it shut them down? Whatever. I think it entirely depends on the Omen card. I think it entirely depends on what that Omen card is. How quickly.
I mean, that's probably true for all of these. Progress.
My gut is that it almost never will. Progress.
When you gain a card, put it onto your deck.
Yeah.
So
Progress in quotation marks.
Yeah, you start greening and this feels real bad.
If you're building towards a mega turn, fantastique.
Yeah.
No. If you're gaining deck control, fantastic.
Both are true.
If I'm trying to double province or province double duchy or do that kind of stuff in my deck that's trying to draw, this is pretty terrible because, like, if I have 3 or 4 green cards on top of my deck, it's really going to hurt my reliability.
Yeah, so this means that in a non-mirror situation when your opponent is greening faster than you, turning on progress is like a real play line for you, right?
No, I think it's the reverse.
Well, but like if your opponent has started greening, well, okay, I guess like it'll
Because you still have to green.
Yeah, never mind. Forget I said anything. That's
Yeah, but you have more deck control. It's still less bad for you. I think you have a point, Jake.
Whereas also, like, if I'm a money player, then I can not have to be like, well, I hit 6 and I guess.
Oh yeah, you just get a
I'm
gold.
gonna get
Yeah.
a good card for my deck and just keep pounding the provinces.
Yeah, you're right,
also
Wandering Winder. Yeah.
worst case scenario for people being hit by progress is that you have on turns and off turns. You go up a turn, you go down a turn, right? Like you have a like this is my good turn, this is my bad turn. And which kind of deck is more okay skipping a turn? The deck that started greening earlier and is ahead, or the deck that yeah. So yeah, I agree with you that this it's the opposite of what I initially said. I don't know. So how does this impact my play? With progress being out, do I want to like try to I guess it's too, I don't know. You probably can't even say that in a vacuum. You probably need to like look at progress on
Like I said, mega turns are still going to be fine because like you can just make sure that you're good. Shepherd, great. I don't know. How does Haunted Woods attack?
Yeah, it's probably even more than the other one's progress, one that you literally just need to look at a kingdom that has it in it before you start talking about what progress does to that kingdom.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say you want to build very slightly more than you otherwise would.
Maybe.
I think
Rapid expansion.
Rapid expansion. Okay. When you gain an action or a treasure, set it aside and play it at the start of your next turn.
Oh, that's nice.
All of them?
Yeah.
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 So that's gonna make you want to build because you gain more actions and treasures, especially later in the game.
Yeah, that this accelerates the game end even more than that than Kind Emperor does. This is like this is like the game's going to be over within a turn or two of this happening. I mean, yeah, theme on point.
I'm gonna say it's less than Kind Emperor, but still a lot. Like definitely more than Progress, because it's very similar to Progress actually.
Yeah, okay.
Only quite a lot better. Sickness. At the start of your turn, choose one. Gain a curse onto your deck or discard 3 cards.
Oh.
Woo! Oh, I like that one.
Watchtower, my friend.
Hey, quick question. I assume that if we have 2 prophecies out and I play an Omen,
You can't have 2 prophecies.
Yeah, it's like liaisons and allies. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, brutal.
I like that. That makes me happy.
I mean, it's a reason to play draw to X. And like you really need
It's a reason to trash cards.
Yeah, well, that too. But like
the curses are out. We finally got the vaccine.
I'm playing my cursed village.
Tunnel.
Secret tunnel.
We did it, guys.
Secret disease tunnel. We did it.
All right, so going back to
the card we were in the middle of reading.
Yeah, that's all.
Kitsune.
Yeah.
Kitsune, +1 sun. Choose 2 different options, +2 actions, $2. Each other player gains a curse or gain a silver. So this is a junker, costs 5, and it's non-terminal. Well, or it's mountebank. I don't know.
If you desire.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This one's cool.
10 out of 10.
Well, it's expensive. It costs 5. This is really powerful.
7 out of 10.
Mountebank.
Yeah. What about it?
Really good. It was +2 money, and they sometimes gained a curse and a copper, and sometimes neither. This, you can always have them gain a curse. Like, they can't block it with another curse. Plus, you can have it be +2 actions. You can use numbers.
You really think this is better than
I
Mountebank?
think it is at least of a comparable power level to Mountebank.
Actually,
I think it's significantly worse than Mountebank.
I think it's going to have a different impact on the game than Mountebank, because Mountebank like has a really oppressive impact on the start of the game, and this has a consistent impact on the game. I also will point out that this stacks really well, right? Like you can get a bunch of these because it can be like a non-terminal junker. And don't get me wrong, it's not like great as a non-terminal junker because it's going to be draining your hand size doing that, but like it can do that.
Yeah, you can just shove these in your deck, yeah.
Yeah, so like in practice, like you're probably junking your opponent quite a bit more with this because if they do collide, well, you still do it.
All right.
Yeah,
I move it up to 8. Mountebank was a 10 out of 10 for me, and this is an 8.
this is I think I'm like between 8 and I'm straddling between 8 and 9 because this is very, very powerful, and I think that the sun, the non-terminal sun control, like the fact that I want a bunch of these also gives me like a good amount of control over the prophecy, and I think that we did see enough of those that are really game defining, that like a card like this that is doing good stuff and gives me control over that is something I'm very interested in. So
Okay, you said you want a bunch of these. I don't know that I would go so far as to say I want a bunch of these. I think I'm more okay with putting a few more of these than normal in my deck because they're not all going to be terminal. But I don't know about wanting a bunch of these. Like, these are stop cards.
yeah, I mean, well, I want like 3, right? Like 3, maybe
get 2 to
2.
3, depending.
2.
Probably a lot of the time.
2.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I think I want 1 or 2.
Well,
Probably 2.
I think 1 is a mistake. Personally, I think 1 is always going to be a mistake.
I don't. I mean, sometimes 0 is going to be.
You said the A word.
Like, it just depends, right?
Yeah, sure.
If there's really good trashing, then this is.
I am assuming.
Okay, which makes me to say maybe I'll come down to 9, but.
I think that most of I'm straddling between 8 and 9. And I think that what it comes down to for me is that I think that most of the prophecies that we saw are things that are going to have enough of an impact on the game that like I think like it's a little more likely that you really want control over it than that you don't. So.
But the thing is, this goes in every deck. It's just a question of like, is deck control good enough that other stuff is more important?
You said this goes in every deck. I don't agree with that. This is payload, and it's not like amazing to. What would you two give Mountebank? Would you two give it a 9 out of 10?
I would give it a 10 out of 10.
Mountebank?
Probably a 9, yeah.
Okay, I think this is a tier worse than Mountebank, and I don't think I'm getting that from either of you. You think you're on the same level?
I think I might come down to 9 out of 10 on this. I think it's slightly worse.
I think.
Okay, I still think there's some disagreement. I think this is a step worse than what both of you.
It might be slightly worse, but it's also in some ways better. Don't get me wrong.
It's a different card. Yes.
It's different, right? Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I am going to. I mean, I think it's obvious to say this, but like I think it's going to depend on what the prophecy is. But
I guess
on the average prophecy, like the one that we saw more of than less of, I think it's really important.
When I say that it goes in every deck, kind of what I mean is like you're never going to be unhappy to have one of these, really. As opposed to, now you might not want to spend the resources to get it, but like if you're just saying, oh, would I rather have another one of them or not, like you're going to want it.
Yeah.
I'm not.
When do you not want this in your deck, Adam?
It's a stop card. When I don't want stop cards.
So when you're saying you don't want silver in your deck.
I don't think like.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any deck that doesn't that like is anti-stop card to the point that it doesn't want any stop cards at all. Like I don't think that deck.
Look, I'm just saying that there are times when you don't want silver, and I think this
Okay.
fits. So when you're saying I always want this,
Sure.
I'm saying when I don't want silver, I don't
Okay.
want this. That's the point I'm making.
I think it's
think because it junks a lot of the time when you don't want silver, you still want this. But I take your point. There are
Right. Yeah, it's a junking attack, and I think it's weaker at junking than other junking attacks have been in the past.
Yeah.
And
this is a pretty weak
junking is OP.
This is a pretty weak junking attack. It just does some other things that I personally really value, and it
disagree that this is a weak junking attack.
It's weak at junking.
Yeah,
it does other things.
That it's weak. Do you think that Witch is weak at junking?
Which is really good at
but
junking.
like this doesn't like draw you to your next witch. Like Kitsune doesn't draw you to your next.
It's a village though.
Yeah, no, I mean it. Don't believe me. You don't have to sell me on the card being good.
I mean, I gave it a 7. What do you want from me, man?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a little bit of disagreement.
I'm going back to 10 out of 10. I'm staking my claim.
I'm sticking. Look, I said between 8 and 9. I'm sticking with that.
Great. Litter. It's a 5-cost action.
Yeah.
Cat litter?
This is.
It's a 5-cost action. It's plus 2 cards, plus 2 actions, plus a debt. I think by litter here, it's not like throwing litter on the ground or like a litter of kittens. It's the thing that you carry like an injured person on.
I think it's like litter. I barely know her.
I've never heard litter used in that way before. And this art is so blurry.
It's a thing.
Wait, what? Sorry, you've never heard litter used how?
As like the thing that you carry an injured person on. Or used to help carry an injured person.
I've never heard
of
I believe you, especially because of the art, but like, okay. Well, anyway, so the card itself, 9 out of 10, 8 or 9?
8 out of 10.
Yeah, 8.
Maybe 7.
Oh, I don't know about 7. This is really good.
I think this is worse than Lost City by a considerable amount.
Yeah, but Lost City is really good.
It is. I think I gave Lost City an 8, maybe a 9, and I would give this one less than that, so 7 or 8.
I think this is close enough to Lost City that I'm rating it the same. Like, I think Lost City is better, but I think it's not.
I think this is a notch worse.
I want to spam Lost Cities. I want to play all of them every turn. The cost of this adds up a lot more than I drew my opponent 1 card each time I gained it. I think this is a lot worse.
I think there are situations where it's better, but in general, yeah. Because if I play 5 of these a turn, like 5 money is no joke. 5 debt is no joke to take every turn.
Okay. Yeah, no. Okay. That's true. Yeah, thinking about the deck that I have a bunch of these in, I guess like I'm kind of like envisioning it as a card. I'm not spamming all of. I'm thinking of like of both Lost City and this as being cards that are good because I don't need the whole pile. And that's why I look at them together. But if I do need the whole pile for some reason, want it, then yeah, this is way worse. Like this is like Lost City's great at enabling Bridge Troll. This sucks at enabling Bridge Troll. So yeah, I guess I think you talked me down to 7. Fair enough.
Sick.
I'm on 7.
Yeah.
All right, Mountain Shrine.
Ooh, okay. This one has so many colors on it. Okay, Mountain Shrine. This is another omen. This costs 5 debt. Gain a sun, gain 2 money. You may trash a card from your hand. Then if there are any action cards in the trash, plus 2 cards. Hello. Okay.
Money and cards in its terminal.
Yeah, and I mean, so you really want to play this in a Ruins game, right? But yeah, so okay, forgetting the conditional part of this is already a really good card for it being a terminal silver that you can open with that trashes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, 9 out of 10.
if we're
A 5 debt card,
yeah,
$2, you may trash a card from your hand, 9 out of 10.
I'm having.
I don't need any of the other text to get me to 9 out of 10.
I'm actually gonna go with 9 as well. Not that I think it's like a 9's worth of game warping impact, but like I'm having a really hard time imagining a board where I wouldn't get this, and probably
Yeah.
when I wouldn't open with it. So
Turn 2,
So
yeah.
The thing that I will note is that you don't have to trash a card.
Yeah, that's so
which is
good.
Oh,
really nice.
you can just draw.
Well, you're gonna make the money.
Or you can just take the money. Yeah. This is at worst a terminal silver, and it's all upside from there.
Now, it's terminal, so it is like it's probably not quite as good at giving you control over the prophecy.
I'm also going to be 9 out of 10, but here's my question for you: do you open with 2 of these?
Can you?
Yeah,
You
you always
always
can.
Wait.
And you're gonna have 3 debt.
Oh yeah, right.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't think I want to open 2 of these. I think I want to open 1 of these. The only reason
I wouldn't open double priest.
I think I would open with 2 of these a small but non-trivial percentage of the time.
In what universe?
Sure.
How many ways are there for me to start with a villager? Because then I'm opening 2 of these.
Silk merchant. Yeah, but you have to buy the card.
Start the game with 1. Like, is there a way for me?
Is there an ally that does that?
Yeah, that's where I was
there's not. I don't think there's a way to start with the villager like you're talking about, but there's some ways to mitigate the. Like if save is in the well, you've got to be able to make enough money, but you should be able to make enough money. And I don't know.
5% of the time, I could see opening with 2 of these. That's small but non-trivial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to.
And I pulled that number out of it. I just pulled that number out of my butt. Anyway,
I will say
I think Adam, I think you mean 5.5%.
Thank you. I apologize. Ninja, what were you saying, Jay?
I doubt I would ever open with 2 of these if I could open with this and another trasher. That's all I was saying. But yeah.
Oh, sure.
Ninja.
Ninja, 4 cost, action, attack, shadow. It's a shadow card, so you can play this from your deck as if in your hand. +1 card, each other player discards down to 3 cards in hand. So it's a terminal +1 card and militia, and it's a shadow. So it's kind of like a ghost ship. This is close to ghost ship, right? It's a terminal, increases your hand size by 1. They go down to 3.
It's not quite as good.
Yeah, I mean it's
down
different.
To 3 rather than put back on top.
Yeah.
Right. I mean there are differences, but this is close to ghost ship, right?
This card
in some ways. What?
This card is incredibly good.
I mean it's a militia, and it draws.
Yeah, I gotta get my head around the fact that like this doesn't cost a card out of your hand, so like it is, yeah.
Yeah, and it's terminal, so like if you really want a village terminal draw with this, it's always going to show up when you need it.
Yeah, also like
8 out of 10.
Yeah. It's a good card.
I know I'm not going to go 8 out of 10. I'm just trying to figure out if I'm going to go 9 or 10.
Well, Adam already went 8. You can't go 8. It's like when we're
I'm not going 8.
Yeah, like we can't both order the same thing.
You came here for screaming hot takes. 10 out of
10. Whoa, 10? That is...
No, we came here for screaming hot takes. He has a point.
A wandering winder 10.
All right.
Wow.
Do you care to elaborate, or is this just...
I just think that that effect, and it only costs 4.
Like, this would not be great at 5, but yeah.
If I'm playing a money deck, I'm just going to get a bunch of these and play one every turn and be content with myself, and lose because I'm playing a money deck against somebody who's playing with these things. And if I'm not playing a money deck, I'm going to get one of them, and I'm going to have draw built up that as long as I find a village, I'm attacking my opponent down to 3 and drawing some extra cards.
So I wasn't thinking about the fact that you can play this every turn without real risk of collision. That was not something I was thinking about. So the fact that this draws and is terminal is a lot less bad in a deck without villages than I thought. I still think I'm at 8, but it's a higher 8.
Higher 8.
Yeah.
I think in practice, like, you probably will not be super keen on playing this without. I mean, like, if you're playing a single terminal deck, yeah, this is like a
I'm
good.
gonna be keen on playing this every game.
No, I'm just.
I'm keen
Well,
on it, yeah.
Sorry. Let me rephrase. You will be playing this if there are no villages, probably, because this is one of the better terminals to have be your terminal. But like, but I think if there, I don't think it would be true. I think like you were highly encouraged to play this with villages, because I do think that like you want to be playing on board with Ninja. I think you want to be building so that you can recover from Ninja attacks and all that, which means like you don't want Ninja to be your.
Although, let me think. If I'm playing a money deck, I have 3 cards, my 3 best cards, plus a random card is my hand every turn, right? How often does that make enough money? I don't know, but
Yeah,
I do want to say
I
something.
mean,
else
better
about
than Militia.
Mountain Shrine, which is that if you can get it turned on, like +2 money, draw 2 cards is reasonable.
That's great.
yeah,
Without
for sure. Yeah, it is.
Poet.
Okay.
Isn't
Poet.
it?
Wondering what
Sorry.
it is.
Okay. Poet. It's a 4-cost action omen. It's +1 sun, +1 card, +1 action, and then reveal the top card of your deck. If it costs 3 or less, put it into your hand.
Ooh, it's underling, kind of.
Yes, and or a wisp,
It's better.
a better wisp.
Yeah, it's underling, but with a super will-o-wisp.
9 out of 10.
Oh.
Yep.
9.
9. Easy.
I'm between 8 and 9.
This is really good. Like it's a. Can I remind you that this is a cantrip, a cantrip prophecy or a cantrip omen? This gives you.
But
This gives you so much control over the prophecy.
Once it flips, it does that sun doesn't do anything for you.
No, but the rest of the card is decent. That's the other thing.
Well,
Is
that's the thing to me, is how decent is the rest of the card, right?
Without the sun, this is probably a solid 8.
Unlike wisps, this doesn't draw itself. So if you load up on these, they don't draw as well.
You're never loading up on wisps, so that's like impossible.
Well, I have.
I'm being facetious. But...
We've had this discussion before.
Okay.
I guess there was what is that 3 cost that if you
C chart?
Yeah.
I was thinking about C chart too.
And that's like not.
Yeah, that's a lot worse than this.
Oh, I don't think it's a lot worse than because
I think Poet's way better than C chart.
How many cards? How much of your deck costs 3 or like at the start of the game? A lot of your deck costs 3 or less. This is going to be good. But as the game goes on, this is going to draw less and less and less.
That's true. But it's not like I think by that point, the prophecy will have probably come to fruition.
Yes.
And will have happened at an accelerated rate. And
the game will be totally different, and it's not clear like that.
Yeah, it's so hard to evaluate the sun.
I think you'll, at the very least, you'll probably at least be eligible to draw like a silver at least off of these, maybe a couple of silvers. So like a couple of your poets are probably at least going to be labs.
Yeah, but like if I have good thinning and I thin my deck down, this is probably not going to draw very. It depends. If there's good 2s and 3s, this gets better. Blah blah blah. I'm going to give it 7 out of 10.
I feel like if you're trashing a lot, then you only get 2 of these.
Yeah.
I don't know.
and it's still great. I'm gonna give it a 9. Without the sun, I'm between 8 and 9, and I don't know how to evaluate the sun, so I'm just gonna say round it up.
Yeah, I'm not evaluating these based on the assumption that I'm gonna want like 5. Like I'm gonna want 2, maybe 3, but those 2 or maybe 3 I really want those, and they're gonna make a big difference. Me having them.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm gonna open this a lot of the time.
Rice, baby.
I love that there's a card called Rice.
I love that
That's so
spoilers.
cool.
I love the next card is Rice Broker. I just like we got the Rice and the Broker in one expansion.
I feel like I'm on Reddit and these are fan cards. Anyway,
Okay, yeah.
Is it my turn? Rice. It's a 7-cost treasure. Gives you +1 buy and +1 money per different type among cards you have in play.
Oh, this is such a Reddit card.
I feel
This
like
is
I
such a
designed
Reddit
this
card.
over 10 years. Well, not this card, but the bonus for number of. I mean, not that it's novel, right? They had that stuff in Intrigue, but
Yeah.
bonus for number of different card types, and the number of card types and subtypes has been expanding over time.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I don't like this card. I think it's weak, first of all. And second of all, I feel like Donald X found this on Reddit. Like, that's just the vibes I get.
This is a Reddit card.
This is
He says he doesn't look at that. I don't believe him anymore. And Rice is such a cool name for a treasure, and you wasted it on this trash. I'm mad.
So this is gonna make like
Yeah.
3 money.
Okay. So
2 money. It's gonna make 2 money.
no.
It's gonna make 2. It's going to make 2 money sometimes, but I think most of the time when you're drawing your deck, there's going to be some duration or reaction or attack or victory, something that's going to make it make a 3rd money.
Ninja plus
That's like never gonna happen.
Ninja plus Rice by itself is 4 money. I think it's not going to be unreasonable to get 4 or 5. Like now, to be fair, is like a 4 or 5 money treasure that comes with a buy. Yeah, that's pretty good actually. I don't know.
I feel
Champion loses the traveler subtype, right? It's just an action duration.
Does it even?
It's a traveler. I thought it was a traveler.
Thought the top
you're
line
right.
was
I'm pretty sure it's still a traveler.
Okay, whatever.
Let me actually Google that.
In any case, if I was getting a loot and I got Rice, I would be happy that I got a buy, but I'd be like, man, this is the worst buy loot ever.
One is right. It does lose the traveler subtype. Anyway.
Whoa.
Fantastic.
Rice Broker.
This 4
No, oh man. Okay, so like, it is too expensive to be fair. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 5 because of
card. Yeah.
I think
4 out of 10.
I think you'll get it about half the time, 5 out of 10. And I realize that I'm saying it's significantly better than you guys are saying it is, but like I actually think it's pretty realistic. It's going to be worth like 4 or 5 money most of the time, or like that you would buy.
The best thing about this card is that it's non-terminal plus buy, and it costs frickin' 7. I'm out.
Even if it made 5 money all the time, it's not like it would be a 10.
Yeah, no, I mean that's why I'm putting it at a 5, and I may be overrating it. Like it's an incompetent 5, and I'm skewing toward I'm like erring on the side of overrating it, but I do think that like it has potential to be more okay than like we're talking about it as being. It is too expensive. I think like I kind of would have liked to see this cost like 6.
To me, it's actually not even about how expensive it is. It's about it's a stop card and it's payload, and like that's okay, but
I mean plus buy tends to be on stop cards. Like
does it?
Yeah, most of the time. I mean like there are exceptions certainly, but like it tends to be on terminals and it tends to be on stop cards. And this is one of those 2 things, but it's also cost 7. So I don't know.
Yeah, gold mine is OP.
Anyway.
Rice Broker.
Oh, Rice Broker. +1. Oh, it's this is wait, what?
I totally lost the plot on whose turn it.
Wandering Winder, go.
Rights Broker, 5 cost action, +1 action, trash a card from your hand. If it's a treasure, +2 cards. If it's an action, +5 cards. Which means if it's a crown or a, what is it, spell scroll,
Ooh,
whatever, you get
7 cards.
cards.
That's pretty cool. This is cute. It's like Apprentice, only it prefers to trash coppers rather than estates. That's adorable. What did I give Apprentice? 8? I get the same as Apprentice.
I give this. I give this an 8 as well. But I'll also say I think this is better than Apprentice.
I also think this is better than Apprentice. But I also give it, it's not differently strength than it. Like, I think it's very marginally better, and I give it the same grade. Whatever I gave Apprentice, which I'm gonna say is 7.
All right. I mean,
Okay, I don't think there's any significant
'cause-
difference between this and Apprentice in terms of power
think
level.
Sometimes this is better. Sometimes Apprentice is better.
Yeah.
Overall, I think this is
I think it's a
marginally
wash.
better, but it's gonna be less. It has less. I think most of the time it's going to be very slightly better than Apprentice, and then it's not going to nearly as often as Apprentice have Zomg, this is broken.
and I think this
Yeah.
conversation only matters if we're playing kingdoms that have both this and Apprentice. So, like, Rice
River Shrine.
Yeah. Okay.
Jake.
Okay. For cost action, it's another omen. So it comes with the sun. Trash up to 2 cards from your hand. I like the sound of this. At the start
Yeah, I'm in.
At the start of cleanup, if you didn't gain any cards in your buy phase this turn, gain a card costing up to 4.
Wait, the artwork on this is very blurry, but it kind of looks like the Akala region in Breath of the Wild. This is great. This card is so good. 9 out of 10.
This card's really good. I mean, I'm gonna give it. Yeah, I mean, trash 2 from hand. I was like, this is not quite as good as as other cards that are like the best cards in the game. But like, I'm like trying to temper my.
I agree. It's not a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I was like,
I would open this over Jack sometimes. That's how good it is.
This is better than Remake.
I was actually saying I don't think this is as good as Remake, but like but then I'm like, but
similar.
Remake is one of the best cards in the game, so
I think
it's similar to
better than
Remake. Same order of magnitude as Remake, and Remake's a 9 out of 10.
Do I give it an 8? Do I give it a 9? I'll go 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it's really good. I don't know how significant the sun is because this isn't a card that I know that I want to play. I mean, actually, no, the sun is going to be significant because
Up to
my opponent is going to be playing it as well.
Well,
Or-
unlike Remake,
or
you can
they're going
actually
to
do card
lose.
with this.
yeah, it's not required trash.
Oh, that's true too. I was like thinking like, do I want to play this 5 times? And I'm like, but I don't have to. My opponent's also going to be playing this, or they're going to lose, and I don't care.
Or you could use this just as a gainer.
Yeah.
Like if you're not gonna, but you have to not buy anything. But
What? That sucks. Like, don't do that. That.
Yeah,
like-
that's only good if you're trashing with it, but still.
or if you're paying off debt or something.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, great card.
Riverboat, 3 cost action duration. At the start of your next turn, play the set aside card, leaving it there. Setup, set aside an unused non-duration action card costing 5. So this is part of setup, and Riverboat will always play that thing at the start of your next turn, right?
I give this a question mark out of 10.
What the?
Whatever the 5er was that this sets
Play it
aside,
next turn.
that minus 2. That's what I give this out of 10.
-2. I mean, this is a lot cheaper than a 5.
Yeah.
I think rating.
Yeah.
I think rating this card is similarly productive to rating the prophecies. I give this an I don't care out of 10. Like
It reminds me of Importer and how much worse that is than a card that could just gain you something costing up to 5.
I mean, this is much worse than if the 5 cost action just cost 3. But I still think it's
Way
pretty good.
worse.
Yeah. this is, I mean, I need to see what it hits, right? Like if it's recruiter, the riverboat becomes like an 8 out of 9.
Yeah, it's a 7 out of 10. 2 less than recruiter.
If it's a butcher, then
You recruited a 10 out of 10. So
no. If this hits recruiter, then riverboat is kind of an auto buy. If this is like butcher or something, like riverboat's an auto buy. If this hits like something I'm less jazzed to play, I'm probably skipping.
counting house. Oh wait, counting house is
Rip. You did nothing wrong. It's with Harambe now. Wandering Winter, Ronin.
Ronin. It's a 5-cost action shadow. But it says draw until you have 7 cards in hand. And because
Is this
shadow,
what draw to
you
X
can play
needs?
this from your deck as if in your hand.
Wait, no, that's that's not as good on a draw to X.
No, it is because draw to X has reliability
Fine.
issues.
It's actually better, I think, still. You don't get the +1
No,
card out of this like you do for all the other shadows.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the shadow.
But that matters more.
fact
But
Jake?
No, sorry. Go ahead.
but you do get the effect of you get to choose when to play this.
Yeah.
In your shuffle at all, which is nice.
It being a shadow is much better than it not being a shadow. I was just like, oh, very slight nombo with the draw to X thing, but it doesn't really matter that much.
I think it helps draw to X. The biggest problem with draw to X is it has reliability. Now, if I'm playing Festival Library, I play Festival Ronin, and my deck just works all the time.
You always have the draw to X when you need it.
Yeah, I mean,
You can just shove your deck full of all the other stuff and not have to be like, oh, I didn't draw my draw to X card. My whole deck is ruined. You just be like, no, I'm going to play all the actions.
And this is solid even in decks that aren't draw to X. You just get one of these and it basically always starts in your hand. This is really good.
And it's
This is like 8, maybe 9 out of
I
10.
mean, this needs a little bit of synergy, right? Because like if you don't have any
A
of,
village? No.
if you don't have any of the like stuff that
yeah,
in hand size,
it needs a little bit of synergy. It really wants to have a village.
yeah,
If it doesn't have a village, you're playing big money smithy, but your smithies never collide.
I mean, that's
really good.
Well, yeah, but then you can't play like other non-terminals.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Lucky big money smithy is like so good.
I mean, I think it was
9 out of 10.
7.
6 out of 10.
All right, I think this is much better than you guys think it is. Hashtag
I
disagreement.
really thought I was going to be the lowest rating, but yeah. Yeah, I mean,
6 and 7, but
yeah, all right.
I'm in.
Jake,
Root Cellar.
Root Cellar, +3. It's a 3-cost action, +3 cards, +1 action, +3 debt. Is it just me or have we seen this card like 3 times now? Like,
This one's the lab. We had the Lost City, and then we had the workshop.
Okay. This one's interesting.
This one is crunchy.
Yeah, so like this is like the most. Man, this one I think is the most like.
Is it Tide Pools or is it amazing?
I think this is the one that is most like gives you the most significant threat of spending the whole game not doing anything, but like feeling like you're doing stuff, right? Like we all know like what those games feel like when you like feel like you're doing a bunch of stuff and then you realize that you've really just been spinning your wheels this whole time.
So you're playing with this card, and you don't have any non-treasure money in your deck, and then the thing gets flipped to where all your treasures have to return themselves, and you lose.
That is funny. Okay, so I think this is like this is very good in cases where you have a card that you got like fairly early and you just want to play it as early and often as possible.
Horn of Plenty?
Oh, Horn of Plenty. We did it, guys.
Why Horn of Plenty?
Because you don't need to make money with Horn.
Sure, yeah. Okay, that's actually a good point, but hadn't really thought about that. But what I'm thinking of is like, I mean, I know Ambassador's like not a thing, but like,
It's a thing. I still remember.
Well,
Pepperidge Farm remember.
Ambassador is with Harambe
Like-
now, but Harambe did nothing wrong. That's the
I
difference.
think like back when Ambassador was a thing, Root Cellar Ambassador would probably be a better open than Double Ambassador. If I'm like, but like,
I'm gonna say Double Ambassador is probably better.
I
think
I only say that to get across the role that I think this card plays, because if there's like a thing like Ambassador used to be where it's like really important to like be playing it early and often, like that's where Root Cellar is probably like worth pursuing.
Jake, I started playing an Ambassador game about 6.5 years ago, and I think it might finish in the next couple weeks.
Okay, that's exciting.
so. I'm gonna give my hot take on this card. I think it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's as bad as Tide Pools, but it's close. That's my read. I think it's very narrow when this is better than nothing for your deck.
Oh, okay.
And not quite as narrow as Tide Pools, but maybe just one notch above that. 4 out of 10? 3 out of 10? 3 out of 10.
I think I'm on 3 out of 10. I think you really need to have very explosive payload. I pretty much agree with you, Adam. If you have super explosive payload and just need to draw, this is a way to draw.
I don't think that. I think like the cycling being really important is what I put this in. I think it's like Warehouse. This like Warehouse is kind of where I put this. I think it's a little bit better than Warehouse. And I think that you get it in similar situations. I think like when you have a Traveler, and it's really important to be leveling a Traveler up. That's like a good case for this. Whenever there's a card, they're like the crux of the phase of the game you're in is about playing that card early and often. Like, yeah, Root Cellar is a reasonable way to do that. Other than that, I don't think it's ever going to be worse than nothing. I think it can. The risk is that it's
I think there's going to be a lot of times it's worth it. Early in the game, if you play this, you can't buy anything. Well, you can't buy anything decent. But early in the game, 3 cards is less good than 3 money. Now, it doesn't take that long for 3 cards to be better than 3 money, but this also doesn't just have to be better than nothing. It has to be better than whatever other card you wanted to get.
That's true, and I'm just saying I think that the times when that's true are those times when you have an exceptionally important card to be playing early and often. Fair enough. Yeah, I can see like it can indeed be worse than nothing. I don't think it's going to be worse than nothing. I don't think it's going to be very much worse than nothing for very long in practice in any real deck. I think that the main risk is that for most of the game is going to be that it's as bad as nothing. And the way that it's not as bad as nothing is, again, just like, I could even see a case for like maybe it's even like worthwhile if you have like Vampire Bat. Like sometimes that's even good enough, or like a Butcher or something.
I think 3 dead is too much. I just think that the times where it's better than nothing or close to I just think that's so narrow, and I think it has the same issue as Tide Pools with like, yes, there are probably 1 or 2 turns where you would rather have this in your deck than not. But am I gonna buy a card with money and put it in my deck instead of another card? Am I gonna buy that and put it in my deck where now that's a card I have for those 1 or 2 turns where it has that marginal benefit? That's what I think Root Cellar runs into. I could be wrong.
I just want to mega turn with this and not play it if I can't like get all the provinces in one turn with my explosive payload combo. I think
you said that about Tide Pools and it was trash too.
I've seen people Tide Pools me a couple times, which sad day. I I think what Jake is talking about is interesting, and I'm sure people will test it and figure out like whether that's good or not or how good it is. I'm skeptical. But I do have the Mondo combo for this, which is this plus gold mine.
So you can just get as much debt as possible.
And you can draw the gold that you gain so that you're even more.
So you can, debt tokens are not token limited. You can have more than 40
right.
debt, Wandering Winder.
That's right.
Okay.
But you can't bid more than 40 for whatever that landmark.
Mountain Pass.
Yeah.
Jake, what is this out of 10, Jake?
Oh yeah, I guess I should give it a rating. Man, I'm gonna give it a. I'm actually gonna end up on the same number as you guys, where it's like a 3.
Okay.
Nice.
But the games where it's, but the games that I'm talking about where there is that exceptionally important card, it's way better than a 3. It's like a 6 or a 7 in those games.
Oh,
Like,
I give it a 3 out of 10, which is fitting because it costs 3 and there are 3 number 3s on the card.
Yeah, it's important to have
Nice.
that mechanical aesthetic in our ratings. So yeah.
Yeah. Rustic Village. Is it my
I think
turn?
it's your turn.
4 cost action Omen. +1 sun, +1 card, +2 actions. Village with a sun. You may discard 2 cards for +1 card. Village for 4 with a voluntary sifting effect and a sun. This is 7 out of 10. I don't see myself using the discard that often.
So there are increased cards that trigger off being discarded. Although obviously that's still only like, I don't know, 4 or
Tunnel
something.
and Trail?
There's Trail, there's Village Green.
This is
Tunnel.
great with that drawn X shadow we did, Ronin.
Sure.
So good.
But it's a village.
Yeah.
And sometimes just like you're gonna dud, so you're gonna look another card deeper. Like that's gonna come up. Like you don't want to do it all the time, but it's gonna come up.
Yeah. 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Yeah, I'm no argument.
Samurai. Wandering Winder, go.
As I've heard a British person refer to this word. It is a 6th cost action duration attack. It says each other player discards down to 3 cards in hand, parentheses, once. At the start of each of your turns this game, plus a money, and then parentheses, this stays in play. So you get 1 militia attack.
Okay, that's why it says once. Okay.
And then every turn later you get an extra money every turn.
It's like Hireling, except it gives you a money instead of a card, and it slashes them with a sword one time. This seems
card is
bad.
So bad.
The card is amazing.
I mean, I like that there's a card called Samurai, but this is a 5 out of 10 at best.
I don't think it's amazing, but this card is pretty good for money specifically.
It is, yeah. That's why I gave it a 5.
A money per turn is a lot better in money, whereas money.
Yeah, I'm buying this over gold like all the time.
When you're drawing your deck is like whatever. I could have just added a peddler.
Yeah. Yeah. 4.
5 out of 10, probably only good in money. I don't have anything else to say about this card.
I also think money. Jake.
Snake Witch. Okay. Picking up witches. Okay, we already have Young Witch. We've got Old Witch. We've got Medium Witch. We didn't need a Snake. Okay, anyway.
Sea Witch.
Sandwich thing.
Sea Witch.
Anyway, okay, so Snake Witch.
Sandwich.
Okay, it's a 2 cost, +1 card, +1 action. If your hand has no duplicates, you may reveal it and return this to its pile to have each other player gain a curse. Ooh.
That is so cool.
Okay.
That is so cool. What a great design space. And I'm sorry. The art on this card is blurry, but it looks like an old woman with
Yeah.
a snake. Is that my wife? Is that my Dominion wife? Because Mastermind has a snake coiled around his shoulder.
What happened
Is
to the sea hag?
Yeah, like
she's gone. We had our tribute to her. She's with Harambe now. Is this my Dominion wife? I mean, she's blurry. I can't tell how attractive she is, but like, I need to find who looks like that in life and find them. And we need to get like a picture together.
Are you gonna tell Megan about this?
yeah, I was like, this is
Yes! Is it?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god! Did they put my wife on a Dominion card?
So Adam's fanfic aside,
How can you set Adam's fanfic aside?
Because the art's too blurry, I need a higher res version. This card is such a
Yeah.
cool design. It's so neat. I'm really glad that exists.
yeah, this
So
is
cool.
This is really cool.
7 out of 10.
Yeah, in terms of like how powerful is it and how often do you buy it? Probably okay. I'm like actually okay. The cool thing is it's unlikely to snowball like most attacks are, right? Because like
You do have to
you-
buy it to give
you
one
have to buy
curse
it,
out, yeah.
and also like I was thinking, you're
Menage.
probably okay. This can snowball in the sense if like you are able to get a bunch of them and play a bunch of them in one turn. That can like, suck because if your opponent
Yeah.
has like duplicate curses in hand and then they can't snake witch whatever.
Yeah. You could
But
get
like it's
ahead.
unlikely, right? Like because usually it's probably not going to junk you so quickly that it turns off your snake witches. So like if it does do that, that would suck and that would be a bad play experience. But I don't think it will. Anyway, how powerful is this? Like pretty powerful. We've seen with like Menagerie that it's really not hard. This draws
Card
a
is weak.
card. Huh?
Card is weak.
Weak. I think
Four
this
out
is
of
gonna
10.
be really good.
This is
I-
harder to activate than Menagerie because
Yeah.
like you draw the card and then check for duplicates. There's going to be risk of this failing. And maybe it doesn't matter that much because
That's not
like
why I think it's weak though.
I will say like this has like it's hard for me to rate this under 5 because it's a 2-cost cantrip and you just buy those because whatever a lot of the time. And
Okay, you draw before checking for duplicates. I'm down to 6 from 7. Also, if your hand has no duplicate cards, you may reveal it. So I can't reveal it if it doesn't have no duplicate. There's an accountability issue on this card. I don't
Wait,
like the
what?
wording.
Why is there an account?
If your hand has
Yeah.
no duplicate cards, you may
Yeah.
reveal it.
What's wrong with that?
What if my hand has duplicate cards? Can I reveal
No.
it? I don't
why
know.
would
I
you-
just
why would
I,
you want to?
You have to though, is the thing.
Why would you want to reveal it
I don't.
if it had
To flex?
Okay.
Okay, so you can't do that, but you don't need to. Like there isn't an accountability issue.
That gives me the
I-
boo-boo jeebies,
Adam,
and
I
I'm back
understand
to the
I
art.
think it's a weak card.
Mhm.
In order to get this to be at all reliable, forget that like it's still not going to be because you might draw the second copy of the thing on the play of this. But to get it at all reliable, you got to get rid of your starting cards, right? You're going to have to thin your deck down so that you're not having 3 coppers in your hand all the time, right?
Yeah, that's the difference. I don't think this needs to be reliable to be good.
And by the time you're able to do that, your opponent can do that too, so the cursing is not as big a deal. Now, does that make it terrible? No. And like I take your point about it can be fine, it can be worth getting sometimes anyway. But I think that it's going to stop it from being super strong.
I agree with that entirely. I think that I'm not going to go below 5 because it's a 2-cost cantrip and you just buy those a lot of the time because like sometimes you gain them incidentally through like gainers when you don't want anything else. So having having it be an action is like on a lot of boards, just like there's a lot of synergy with playing action cards. So like a lot of the time it's good to have it. It's a unique card itself. Sometimes that matters. So like I can't rate a 2-cost cantrip lower than a 5 just by virtue of what it is. But I don't think that the other text on that card is very meaningful or important. I think that it curses so slowly that, and don't get me wrong, I think this is good. I do think this is a well-designed card. I like it. But I think it curses so slowly that the cursing, like Wandering Winder pointed out, it is easily dealt with, especially in the context of people being able to activate this at all. So yeah, 5. I'm not going higher than that. If it cost 1 more, or it like, wasn't a cantrip or something, it would be way lower.
Yeah, I think the junking is going to be underestimated. This smells like Black
I
Cat
would
to me
also
in terms of like
go ahead.
in terms of just people poo-pooing the junking and then realizing later on, oh, I was underestimating this. This is a big deal. I need to get more of it. That's where I think this card's
would be
going.
way higher on it if you could give out more than 1 curse.
Yeah, you've got to continue buying this to
Right, you have
like,
to rebuy it to give another curse.
yeah, or gaining it in some way. Like,
Yeah, me too. I would also be way higher on it if yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Tanuki.
Jake?
Whose turn is
I
it?
think it's Jake's.
Okay. Okay.
Tanuki.
This is a 5-cost action. It's a shadow, so it's another one you play from your deck. 5 cost. Trash a card from your hand. Gain a card costing up to 2 more than it. Oh, it's a shadow remodel.
Remodel.
I mean, great. It's
Why is this called Tanuki?
It's like a
You-
raccoon.
I know what a Tanuki is, but this effect is typically called things like remodel and expand, and this is a Tanuki?
I guess I need to research what Tanukis do and
do Tanukis turn things into better things? Because that's, that would be on point. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, it's better. I guess like if I like, how many points does shadow text add to a vanilla effect? Probably like 2.5. Anyway, this is like an 8, maybe a 9. Like really good. Obviously, remodel's a good effect. It being on a shadow is good. Then again,
you can't open
can't
with
open
it
with
though.
it, but like,
I think this is on par with remodel.
it's way better at turning province into province.
It's way better at finding the thing that it
Yeah.
wants to trash.
If you're drawing your deck, that doesn't really matter.
It's true of every shadow.
I think it matters a lot that you can't open with this. I think that's where it really gets hurt.
So I'm saying I think this. I'm not sure that this is better than remodel because you can't open with it. It costs
I think it's roughly the
5
same.
instead of 4, and I'm not that high on remodel in general anyway.
Yeah, I think it's a 7, about the same as
remodel.
remodel.
I'm thinking about with this is if you can go very scorched earth and just try to get like get a little money and 1 or 2 of these, and then just start taking provinces pretty early and just trash them into themselves to end the game, and trash gold into them and end the game quickly.
Sure.
I'm kind of dubious of that. I think I'm going to give this like a 5, and that's not really because I think, oh wow, this card is so much worse, but I'm just a little lower on remodels in general than you guys are.
Okay.
The whole milling provinces quickly thing, I feel like this is worse than Transmogrify at that, because it's terminal.
Yeah, it's...
yeah.
I think it's worse than Transmogrify at that because it costs 5 instead of 4, but yeah.
That also hurts,
I will point something out though, because, wait, when you buy a shadow, it doesn't. Does it immediately go in?
No.
No,
You have to shuffle.
Never mind. All right.
All right, Tea House. I love tea. 5-cost action Omen. +1 sun, +1 card, +1 action, and +$2. Whoa. It's just an activated conspirator
Yeah.
for 5?
Also,
That's crazy.
I value the sun quite a bit. This is really good. This is.
I mean, the sun has value, but like without the sun, this is like an 8 out of 10.
This is really good. Yeah, 8 or 9.
I think I'm only going to give it an 8 out of 10 with the sun, which is... I'm not sure if I would give it an 8 without or not. It'd be kind of close. But then, like, I also don't know how much to value the sun. So, 8 out.
I'm going to give it an 8. Solid card. Cantrip $2 is just
That's good.
Great. So good. All right, next in the rule book, we had all the prophecies. We've talked about those, and there are 10 events. So there is a mass.
I
Are you there,
am
Wandering
here.
Winder?
A mass, not a mass. It is one word, amass.
Yeah, the verb.
Like
Yeah.
you're going to amass a large treasure. In this case, it is a 2-cost event, and it says if you have no action cards in play, gain an action card costing up to 5. Holy shnikes.
Seems great.
Yeah, I'm going to open with 2 5s, please.
Yeah. I mean,
That
seems like almost kind of
this is
degenerate.
game opening. Yeah,
the opening.
Actually, this is this is
10 out of
almost
10?
on par with removing a mechanic, right? Like this is
Yeah.
this is almost
Yeah.
like it removes the whole like
Opening?
cycle. Yeah, like of needing to pay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, 10 out of 10, and like, I don't know, this just, I don't like it.
I think this has the potential to be pretty reductive. Yeah, I think this.
Yeah, reductive,
I'm
that's
not
a great word, Jake.
sure if I want to give it a 10 out of 10 or only a 9.
I mean, I'm kind of also straddling that line because like 10 out of 10 to me is like donate, and I don't know if this is like donate.
Well, okay, I
It
think
might-
it's weaker than donate, but I don't think
Donate's an 11 out of
Okay,
10 in
sure.
my
I
book.
don't think you need to be donate strength to get 10 out of 10, or not going to be any 10 out
Yeah.
of 10s.
Well, but that's the thing to me is like if you don't have to be donate strength to be 10 out of 10, then what the hell is donate? Like that's like there has to be a.
But what I'm saying is like there's 400 cards, or with events and stuff, there's 600 things. Some stuff is going to have to share a power level, a number that's not at precisely the same power level.
Well, I know, but I want to have some designation to talk about the ceiling, right? To identify when something is at that ceiling.
Yeah, and that's why I gave donate an 11.
This is Spinal Tap.
Anyway, I don't think there's much disagreement on how good a mass is, though, right? Like we might disagree on our like.
I'm just trying to think like how many uses out of this are you going to get in a game, and it's probably
a ton.
3.
2 plus
Yeah,
like
I
2
think
or
you're
3
going
more.
to keep using
Oh, I
it.
don't think you're going to get 2 or 3 more after your opening, because you're just going to be playing those actions every turn pretty quick.
It'll happen 2 times probably again.
Okay, I mean, in that context, like maybe it's not quite. It's like, yeah. Anyway.
Having said that, the reason why I think it might only happen in your first 2 turns is because you're going to be playing, like drawing your decks like turn 6. It's going to be...
Well, I mean that's a lot, but
like it's not.
the impact that this has on the game is
Yeah, I'm
game
giving it a
warping. It fits
I'm
10
giving
out of
it a
10 in
10.
my book.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's going to be some
All right.
cases where there's just like no good 5-cost actions, and this won't be great. But oh well.
10, and I don't want to play with it. Or like
Yep.
9.
Like 2 to
9
3
or 10
times in my
anyway.
life. I think it's reductive. I think that's a great word, Jake. I just don't think this makes the game better.
The
It's a
opening
novelty.
turns are some of the most interesting parts of Dominion, and it like removes the whole like idea of what the opening is. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Jake.
asceticism. Two cost action or 2 cost event. Pay any amount of money to trash that many cards from your hand. That's really, really good, especially early. Yeah,
Is
I mean,
it?
trash your estates. Like, that's crazy good.
Think about
So-
what is the like event? Is it an event or a project that you get to exile? It's an event, right? You get to exile.
Banish?
This is not that dissimilar to that.
Yeah, you can always trash an estate
You
in with $3 or $4. You can do
always
that.
get
Yeah, you
two
can't do it on
estates.
the 5-2, I guess, but
Okay. On a 3 or 4, you can
Okay,
trash
yeah,
an
on a
estate with it.
5-2,
opening.
you're a little sad here. Well, no, you're not, because the 2 is asceticism, and you're getting a 5er and trashing 2 estates. But
You're not trashing 2 estates. You have to pay in addition to
Yeah.
the $2.
yeah.
on a
I-
4-3, you could open asceticism, trash 2 estates, and have a deck that's 7 coppers and an estate.
Yeah, and that's really stinking
that-
good. I mean, remember how good Scrounge was, Wandering Winder?
No.
Because you can just trash estates? Remember we had that talk?
Was that the one where you got to remodel a non-victory card?
No, that was the one where you can
Oh, yeah.
pay 3 for an event and trash the state, or you can gain a state from the trash
Right.
to get a 5er.
So I think that this is an 8 or a 9 for me, and the only thing that the only time that I'm foregoing this is in the presence of like the best trash, like I'm talking about like there's like remake out, and it's like, you know, that's gonna trash me about like similarly quickly, and it's gonna build me at the same time.
See, I think this event is much stronger than remake, and I'm not getting remake instead of this
Yeah.
unless I have like some fortress shenanigans I'm doing.
Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna compare it to remake. I compare it to things like plan, honestly. Like I will open plan on a $4 turn 1 and buy a $3 card that I don't particularly want just to trash an estate on turn 2. Because that's how good trashing an estate instead of an opening buy is. And you can do that 2 times with this card, with this event. Like that alone makes it an 8 out of 10. And then like you draw a couple of cards and you can thin coppers with it at some reasonable pace in the mid game.
Or just
Like that's stinking good. I give it a 9 out
find
of
some
10.
way to spike some money and trash multiple cards on one turn. Like that much money.
Yeah, like it gives me trade vibes there. Or like banish or like cemetery almost, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, like a lot better than cemetery. Except with
Right,
banners, I
yeah,
guess.
better.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's really good. I guess I think I'm convinced, yeah, that it's probably better than those other things I said. So yeah.
Alright, continue 8 debt event once per turn. Gain a non-attack action card costing up to 4. Return to your action phase and play it. +1 action and +1 buy. That is so many things, and one of them is return to your
And-
action phase. I haven't thought about this, but it's a 10 out of
another one is
10.
8 debt. Hang on, like don't get excited.
Oh, okay. Alright, this is like launch, only
What the?
it costs a
What
lot
do you?
more.
What happens? I buy this. What happens? I don't know.
No.
Yeah, I'm
You
still
get
parsing.
to the end of your turn, you buy some payload,
Oh, you can, yeah.
you buy this, and gain a smithy. You draw the payload, you play the payload, you've regained the money.
Okay, in the best cases, this is like you take an extra turn, right? In the best cases, this is like I'm fudging that.
No, I mean, I think the best case is like you dud, and this saves you or something.
Oh, I was actually like thinking you. I mean, sure, yes, that, but like it's like you pay you take on the 8 debt, to, like what you said, to like your deck goes off and you get some stuff, and then like it's enough stuff that like it's able to like be a turn in and of itself, and then you do this to like play that turn out, and well, actually,
I think I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10, but that's maybe the thing that I think you need to have is like a reasonable card to get you places, probably some kind of a significant drawing card that costs 4
Yeah,
or
you
less,
you
which you
don't
will usually have.
you don't
You don't
necessarily
need
need that because all you need for this to be good is to need a village, right? This is a village.
it.
Even setting aside the fact that it plays that action card you just gained, it still gives you an action and doesn't cost an action. So if all you need is a village on your turn, this saves your turn. Yeah, I could just think of like so many scenarios where this effect pays for the 8
Oh
debt.
yeah,
So like it's obviously
yeah.
going to be great. And then it can be so much more, but like it sometimes is a little bit less. And I'm trying to think of like, Villa obviously is great because it saves your turn in that same respect. It's a little more efficient when it comes to actions, but then you add a stop card to your deck. And this is different. I think I'm still
So
giving this a
yeah,
10.
I guess my concern is like if this has to, because you have to gain a non-attack action card costing up to, this is probably just rare enough that it's not really a big deal, that all of the actions that cost 4 or less are bad. That's probably rare enough to just not matter that much.
yeah.
I'm still back and forth between 9 and 10 on this. It's
I
very
I
good.
think I'm gonna go with 9, but like I wouldn't blame you for going 10 at all.
I'm landing on 9. Jake, any thoughts?
I'm thinking like what, so like you do like, yeah, I'm like trying to think like not just saving your turn. How often is this as good as like just taking 2 turns?
I don't know that Villa was ever as good as
Oh,
taking
but
2
like,
turns.
the whole thing is like, I'm like, do I give this an 8 or a 9? And I wouldn't give Villa an 8. I would, even though Villa does some crazy stuff sometimes.
Wait, you would give Villa less than an 8?
Yeah, because like like I'm thinking about like the average
Whoa.
Villa game, not just the like crazy ones that stand out.
I might give Villa a 10.
Oh,
I think the average Villa game is nuts.
okay, I mean, I know it does a lot of stuff, but this isn't about Villa. This is about continue. This is the least creative name, but
Continue?
yeah. Yeah, I'll give it a 9. I'll give this a 9. Yeah, this has enough potential that like, and like not just potential, but like this probably powerful enough on average. But yeah.
Hello, doctor, name, continue, yesterday, tomorrow?
Okay, credit.
Anyone?
It's a 2-cost event that says gain an action or treasure costing up to what I believe is an 8, but is kind of pixelated.
Yeah.
Plus debt equal to its cost.
What action or treasure costs 8? Like what is up to 8? What's the significance of that?
Can't gain platinum,
like,
rip.
If you have a cost reducer.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, like what?
There's like Prince.
Oh yeah, Prince. Duh.
There's 2 actions that cost 8, I think.
Can't gain a fortune.
Boom.
So it's
This seems rough. I think this is very narrow. You really need to be desperate to get that really expensive card
Oh,
right away.
I don't think that's narrow at all that you want to do that. Like there are plenty of cards that you want to get as soon as you can get them. Like
I can think of altar and forge, and I'm struggling to come up with other
Butcher,
examples.
like
Sentry.
recruiter, vampire, like there are plenty of.
Can't get vampire
Oh,
with this.
wait, can you
Yeah, vampire's not actually.
can you just turn any opening into
That's
buy
what
a
I'm
fiver?
saying. It's like
Okay.
open. How often do you open with, or like you get something else on turn 1 and you do this on turn 2 to get a fiver? Right?
It's
It makes
also, yeah.
it makes whatever you're getting cost 2 more for the flexibility of being able to get it now instead of later.
Also, like even outside
Okay.
of the open, I think you'll get this a few, like occasionally. How often do you take on a bunch of debt with your extra buy at the end of your turn just to grab another overlord because like it's like worth it to take on the debt just to have another like piece of whatever it is you're doing?
Okay. I suppose this can bail you out of like, man, I really needed to hit this price point this shuffle and it didn't frickin' happen, right? This'll bail you out of that. Okay.
It bails-
5 out of 10? 6 out of
Oh,
10? 5?
8 out of 10.
5 out of
8, maybe
6 out of 10.
9. The thing is, okay, so it warps the opening, it bails you out, and the third least often the case, but like still significant is like the like random, like I have an extra buy and I can get another like piece and like I'll take on the debt to get it. Like I can just get another piece of whatever deck I'm building, and it's like that speeds me up enough to be worth the debt. Like like how often do you do that with Overlord? Pretty often. I think like this is pretty comparable. So yeah.
You can also get around like the grand market restriction.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
For $2 extra.
I don't know. Well, but if you have more than 2 coppers, or want to get more than one of them or something.
Okay, so I can see a wider variety of situations where you will do this. I think its impact in those situations is a lot less. I think it's most impactful in the first 2 turns of the game. And after that, it's like, oh, this is marginally better than whatever else was going on, so I'll do it. That gets me up to 6. I don't think I can get up to 8 or 9.
No argument that the biggest impact this has is on the open. But it's a hell of an impact. The most terrifying art on a Dominion card.
That
This
is
is
creepy.
a picture of a bridge, and the arch under the bridge they've made to look like an eye.
What?
That is creepy.
What the hell is going on here?
That's like a
There is
Dixit card right there.
that, like, there's like
Yeah, it is.
back there something that I feel like I don't know with this resolution what that'll look like, but
This is creepier than anything in Nocturne. Like Nocturne is supposed to be the spooky expansion. This is way creepier.
Yeah. Jake, would you like to read the cards?
So Foresight, 2 cost. Reveal cards from your deck until you reveal an action. Set it aside and discard the rest. Put it into your hand at the end of the turn. Okay, so speaking of the open, you buy your 3 or 4 cost and play it on turn 3. At the
go to star chart in the opening.
Yeah. Costs you your second buy for the turn, but
seem very good to me.
It depends on what that card is, right?
It's better than star chart in the opening.
Well,
like Silver Foresight seems. Oh wait, Silver's not an action. Dang it.
I mean, this is like it depends on what it is. Like we keep talking about remake, but like if I open 4 and if I've been like 4 and I get my remake, better believe my next buy is Foresight. Chapel, whatever. Like think of
7 or 8 out of 10. What is it?
I don't know. For me, it's a 7 because it needs to be something really impactful, like a remake or a chapel or something like that.
I don't
think it needs to be
more thinking about I'm drawing my deck and then I'm going to buy a few things, and then I'm going to basically spend 2 money to draw an extra card and have perfect reliability next turn.
Well, it's also, I mean, when you don't have your deck control down, actually, when you're fighting for deck control in like a junking war, I could see this being like
Sure.
pretty good for that. So
Although it takes
Yeah.
the thing about early is it takes your whole turn, because if you don't have plus buy, and you're usually not gonna enough money to buy
Yeah,
something
this
else.
takes a buy.
That's the thing about the early uses.
right, and that's why I said it really has to be something like worth it, right? It has to be like a remake or a chapel or like a what are the other like premium, like an amulet or something like that you really want to like hit ASAP. But
Yeah, I'm gonna land on 7 for this, and it would be an 8 if the art wasn't like
I'm
making me
gonna go
uncomfortable.
5 out of 10.
ooh, okay.
I just
I mean, yeah.
Nice. Gather, 7 cost event. Gain a card costing exactly 3, a card costing exactly 4, and a card costing exactly 5.
Okay.
I
Okay.
give this a Threvin out of 10.
I give it a Svelv after out
I
of
say
10.
okay.
I mean, so like Silver's always around and Dutchy's always around, and boy, is that not an exciting pair of things to get for.
No, you're never getting Silver Duchy with this.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You could, I guess.
This reminds me of Pilgrimage, only
If there's
worse.
like, what are the 4-cost victory cards that are around anymore?
Gardens!
Right, like maybe I really need to come back and like
Wait,
Gardens Duchy X is more points for 7, and like I just need another way to get some points. Like there's some uses for it.
Silk Road died, right?
Yeah, it did nothing wrong, but it's with Harambe now.
Silk Road really did do nothing wrong. I don't know why.
It was replaced with
we eventually
Marchland,
got a
which
replacement,
is
which is
the same
fine,
thing.
But
it
mean,
costs
it
5,
also
so
gives
like
you a buy and some fault action, and it's
gaining like the ideal thing with this would be gaining like Great Hall, Silk Road, Duchy, right? But
Great Hall, Mill, and
well, but Silk
I
Road
don't know.
was the
This seems
reason
like
you wanted to do that. Anyway,
like this is going to be pretty good when you have a good 3, a good 4, and a good 5.
you can.
Yeah, 5 out of 10.
There's so little we can say in a vacuum, and that's why we're kind of just saying
Yeah.
random crap because there's not much
All right.
relevant stuff to say.
Or even if there's just like a good 3 and a good 5 and no 4s, then this could still be good. But
Yeah, Kintsugi.
Kintsugi, it's a 3-cost event. It says trash a card from your hand. If you've gained a gold this game, gain a card costing up to 2 more than the trashed card.
What?
You've gained a gold
It's so
this
random.
game.
Like why is
So you can thin your.
why is it tied to having gained a gold this? Why is that's such a random
I believe this is actually thematic, because if I understand what Kintsugi is, isn't this the thing where you have something that's broken, like I don't know, this teapot or whatever this is, and then you put it back together with gold lacquer so you can see where all the cracks were?
All right, yeah, and it's like more beautiful because it was broken. Yeah, I
think this might actually be a thematic thing. Maybe
this is a Reddit card.
Yep, this is a Reddit card.
This is really good though.
It seems. I mean, you can trash estates with this in the open. You can even trash coppers with this until you've gained a gold. Yeah, seems fine. 8 out of 10, I guess. I think it's clunky design-wise, but yeah, it's an event that trashes a card, and it has remodel implications. It like has enhance upside in the end of the game, and then it has like plan / bonfire, not bonfire, scrounge upside in the start of the game. Super solid, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I would agree for all the same reasons. I've got nothing really to add.
9 out of.
I just feel like this card is so similar to a lot of other things we've seen in the past, and the reason it's unique is something that I just don't vibe
think
with.
that it is closer to a 10 than an 8 for me. I'm gonna give it a 9. I feel like we've gotten multiple things in this set that it's like turn 1 and turn 2 trash your estates though, which feels weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, that's really good.
this didn't need to exist.
Yeah, I'm not offended that it exists, but I am getting a little bored of this shtick.
It's really it's a really strong
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah, like these are all really strong effects, but I'm getting bored of the like your opener is like the opener is not a thing anymore that you have
Well,
to
it's
spend
just
price points
yeah,
and
and-
shit.
And like it makes so many of these things just make getting deck control very quickly, very easy, which is just
Yeah.
it's not that fun to me when you get to do it a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. That like
It's good as a like once in a blue moon thing, but I
Yeah,
don't
we're
know
just
when I
flooding the
have
game
ice
with them
cream
now,
for
yeah.
3 meals a day, it's less special.
I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm not really active in playtesting anymore, but I'm like, it just seems a little lazy that like we have 3 events that kind of all do kind of the same thing in a set with 10 events in it. Like, did we really need to put 10 events in this set if 3 of them are going to be doing similar things with where the differences are not something I vibe with? I don't know. Back in my day, we made events that were practice.
Back in my day, events didn't exist yet.
you didn't even have a day. Practice. You may play an action from your hand twice, and it costs 3. So you pay 3 money. You can play an action from your hand twice. So interesting to note, this is playing actions during the buy phase.
Yeah, so it's really only good on payload.
You can use it to play Crown twice.
Yeah.
Whoa.
This is interesting.
You're spending $3 in a buy for an extra play of an action
That's
card.
gotta get you a lot.
Well, this does have like bailout potential, like you terminate your junking attack, right?
I mean,
Yeah, it does get you out of terminal collision sometimes.
kind of, but like, what terminal are you like super jazzed to play? Because like, it's not going to be a draw terminal because then you can't play any of the stuff you drew.
A junking attack.
Yeah, junking and trashing kind of jumps out at me.
Trashing seems pretty rough. Junking I'll give you. But
Yeah.
like, if I have to make 3 money and then I'm going to play I mean, I guess like if I dead drew.
Yeah, like Smithy
Yeah,
and a Trasher
sure.
seems great there.
4 out of 10. It's like these are narrow. These are like good but narrow. Like
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10, and I'm thinking about 6. I think the fact that it's it's an event, you can just find situations. You can be less worried about terminal collision, especially with draw in your deck, and be a little more fine with it. I don't know. I think it's gonna come up more often.
I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10. Like
Goodness.
it kind of has to be trashing or junking, right? Like unless you've also got cavalry or villa or one of those things. In which case, this gets a lot better, but.
Or you like, I don't know, you terminal drew your traveler, whatever. I don't know.
I guess traveler, that's another thing. That's okay. I'm still going to stick at 3 out of 10 though.
Yeah. I would not fault you for rating this low.
Receive tribute.
Wait,
5 cost
wait,
event. If you've gained at least
practice.
waiting.
What about bridge?
Oh.
Yeah, if you got them a lot of money and you need some more actions and buys,
And or I just want to be able to play the bridge more often because that ends up making me more money.
This is a village.
Yeah.
Practice is a
Okay,
village.
4.
This,
4
uh,
out of 10.
yeah, this speeds up bridge megaturn quite a bit, doesn't it?
So I just have 3 bridges in my hand and 5 money. Then I practice to play a bridge, practice to play a bridge, practice to play a bridge. Now everything costs 6 less.
Yeah. Okay. All right, fair enough.
Hot.
Yeah. Bridge. I mean, this doesn't. I don't think it takes it up for me because I don't think that that's like a
I mean,
super applicable.
I was lower than you anyway. I'm moving from 3 to 4.
Yeah, it's like I
Nice.
I don't
don't
think it's a
like-
big deal either. There's only a few cards like that.
Yeah, and the other ones that aren't bridge don't even work that way.
Bridge
Bridge troll, it doesn't even like.
Yes, it does. It got errated.
But it doesn't pay for itself, right? Like the reason that's so good with bridge is that that's really quick to set up because the bridge is giving you more money to get the next practice. Like
I
this.
suppose that's true. It's still not.
Yeah,
You
you
need
do.
more money,
You
but-
do need. It's
yeah.
harder to do
Yeah.
a bridge troll. Yeah.
So anyway,
Receive tribute. 5-cost event. If you've gained at least 3 cards this turn, gain up to 3 differently named action cards you don't have copies of in play. Gained a bunch of stuff already. Gain even more stuff that you don't already have. This seems really narrow.
1 out
to
of
me.
10?
oh, it's not a 1. It's
I can't get down to 1, 2, 3.
How
I've
am
given it
I-
3. That's my.
How am I gaining 3 cards while wanting to get 3 more actions? I gained 3 cards. I have another buy and 5 more money.
yeah.
I want to gain 3 more actions that I don't already have in play. How is this happening?
Well, clearly you've got gather on the board as well, and you've got 13 money
Yeah.
and 2 buys, and you wanted 6 different kingdom cards because of fairgrounds. And yeah, okay, this is okay. It's not good. So I think I'm down to
2 out of 10. Achievement unlocked if you ever actually buy this and something happens.
I mean,
I'm sure it will come
Seems
up at
very
some
narrow.
point, but like, I don't know.
Why does this cost
Blazing
5?
hot take 1 out of 10.
That's
yeah, I
reasonable.
think that's I'm actually like I'm wishing I had rated it lower, but I already rated it. I can't undo that now.
It's right. You can't ever change your opinion, Jake.
I wrote it in
Yep.
10. Like it's
Oh,
oh rip. All right, last one.
C
C
Wandering
trade,
Winder.
not B trade or D trade or F trade, but C trade. It's a 4 cost, and it says +1 card per action card you have in play. Trash up to that many cards from your hand.
Okay.
Why is it trade and I'm not gaining silvers?
Well, because it's a C trade.
No, this is Oh, okay. That was a joke question. That was all right. Okay.
No, but like trade means you're gaining silvers. That's
Trading
what
post,
it means.
Trade, trader.
What if they just tacked
so-
gain a silver on the end? Would that make you happy?
Yeah, it would. So you can trash an estate with this
No, you can't.
in an opening.
Well, only if you. No, you can't.
If you
Oh,
you're
rip. Dang it.
No, you can't have an Acropolis.
You could trash 8. If you
Rip.
play the Necropolis and play 4 coppers, you could buy this and trash whatever card is on top of your deck.
There you go. There you go. We did it.
Yeah, so I mean
Seems
it's
bad.
gonna be if this is it's fine. If this is like you would prefer to be able to open with a trasher, but if you can't open with a trasher, this will do. Like you open with
It
you,
won't do.
You open with 2 action cards and And if you, what you would prefer to do is open with a trasher, right? But if you can't do that, you open with 2 action cards, and then you cross your fingers and hope that you can get a 2-card trade on the next turn. Or you just get 2 1-card trades in the next shuffle. That is not amazing. It's not great, but like if that's the trashing you have, it's what you have.
I think it's a lot
3 out of
worse
10.
than the things that let you trash your estates on turn 1. But I still think it's pretty good. Like if you can just open like cantrip, right?
Mhm.
Then if you can get them to collide and you make 4 money, which, okay, we're getting to the place where this is unlikely. But let's say we able to get that. Then if you buy this, you're going to get to trash 2 cards on fairly soon. And like, that is a lot worse than just trashing your estate right out of the gate, but it's still pretty good.
I think that this, it's very difficult to get this to trash more than 1 card before like turn 5, 6, 7.
Sure.
And that's when, if you're not trashing more than 1 card by that point, it's on the level of trashing that's so bad that I would consider ignoring trashing. And like, it's an event, you don't have to ignore it until it's right in front of you. It's like, oh, sure, I can do it. So that's why I'm like giving it a 3 instead of something lower. But this seems very slow. This seems bad.
I don't
don't like this.
I don't agree that you would ever take no trashing over this. I think that if this is the trashing that you have access to in the first like 2 shuffles, then this is the trashing that you go for in those first 2 shuffles.
I can
Yeah,
imagine
I can't get there.
a game where I'm getting some like labs or what is that secret passage? No, not secret passage. Secret chamber? Secret
Like
passage.
Cantrips.
Yeah,
Really
the
any
ones
cantrip.
that let you see more cards. Like Hunting Party is probably the best example of this, right? You get to chain a few of them. You draw some cards. Your net deck isn't really under control. Then you buy this and you get to trash a few cards. And all of a sudden, your deck comes under control a lot more over the course of just a couple turns. It's still not as good as like a premier trasher, but I think it's better than 3 out of 10.
Yeah, if you can't, I maintain if you can't, I think that's a use for it is like to set up a big one at some point. But I think if you can't open with any trashing, the way that you do still plan your first like 4 turns around this by like you either like if you would like to open with a trasher, but if you can't, you buy 2 actions and then in the next shuffle you cross your fingers and try to get a 2-card trade, or you settle for 2 1-card trades, and it's better than not doing it probably.
I think even just 4 cost, trash a card from your hand, you can't buy this on turn 1 or 2, would be pretty good. And I think this is, while it's not strictly better than that, I think this is overall a little better than that. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, 6 is kind of where I was thinking too.
I'm really trying to get up to 4. And
I
don't
might be
think
talked
I
down
can do
to
it.
5, but the reason that I'm low on this is not because I don't think it's like it's way better than nothing, but like but the only thing is like trashing is so like we saw so much stuff that's better than this throughout the
it's
we're looking at like
it's wild how many events are like just better versions of things that were really good before.
Yeah. Trash.
And then we got this.
Yes, this is like not, but it's on the level of things that I would do before, I think.
Kind of anticlimactic of a thing to leave off on.
So
yeah, can we go back and look at Bide Your Time?
Yeah, this C trade is like aggressively mediocre. It's not even trash. It's not even bad. It's just okay.
It's trash.
There is one non-action among all the kingdom cards in this set.
There's one non what?
Action. They're all actions except rice.
Action. Rice. Oh God.
No victory cards yet
Poor
again.
Rice. We deserved better.
There will be a expansion with fried rice. I want a whole like rice expansion, fried rice.
Just go on Reddit, man.
Risotto.
I'm sure you'll find it.
Risotto.
So I'm excited about Omens and Prophecies. I'm excited about Shadow cards, and there seems like some really cool stuff
I'm
in
excited about Shadow cards because I think there's a lot of room for knowing the right way to play them, knowing the right way to manipulate your shuffle so that you never draw them, but you want to play them when they're most impactful.
Yeah.
Like there's enough novel stuff in here that seems really cool that like, yeah, I don't think Dominion has jumped the shark. I think it's a computer game now. That's unfortunate, but I mean, every board game is a computer game now. And there are just some things in this set that like, I'm not the biggest fan of the design of, and maybe I would have spoken out against, but like, I'm coming to peace with the fact that, you know, I'm probably not a playtester anymore. And
the set has some winners and losers.
Okay.
Like you said,
Yeah.
Prophecies are really cool. Shadows are really cool. I'm pretty pleased with those.
I just can't wait to gain a copper with every card I gain.
Yeah. Daimyo stands out to me. That's a pretty cool card too. But yeah.
Yeah.
The pretty much the whole events section of this I could have like all of these events I would have probably just like not game personally.
Yeah. Just without the events. I think it would be more
especially
streamlined.
without foresight, because nobody wants to look at that.
Yeah. I don't
Foresight belongs in Nocturne. Like if you just put this in Nocturne, it would be like, all right, it's another Nocturne card.
Yeah, I'd be down.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a reasonable take. I think I agree with that. If you made it this far, you're probably 3.5 hours into the podcast. Hope your road trip's going well. I hope you're wearing your seatbelt. And I mean, I really don't know when we're going to be doing this next, because I mean, yeah, I'm going to be playing some Dominion probably with these new cards a little bit, but like, I don't know. I don't know that I'm really going to come back to Dominion anymore. I'm not going to say this is the end of Making Luck, because whenever they come out with new Dominion content, we're probably going to sit here and give our screaming hot takes like the has-beens we are, but like...
At some point, we'll probably revisit some of our... Did we ever revisit the hot takes that we had from the last time we did hot takes from things?
We didn't, and there's a listener that keeps bothering me about that. He's like, "When are you doing the revisit?"
We can do that.
Shout outs. Thanks for coming to my tournaments, by the way. It's a long drive for you.
By the way,
I appreciate what you guys do.
guess
Thank you so much.
my revisit of that is, wow, that was an unfun set.
What set?
Whichever one had the loots in it.
Plunder.
Oh, yeah.
Plunder.
Yeah, it was like possibly my least favorite. I don't know. I also didn't like Nocturne, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like
Rip.
Like let's see. I don't know. With least favorite set, I think like the basic answer is Alchemy. Like that's everyone's least favorite set, right? But
yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Thanks for listening to the podcast, and thank you, Jake and Wandering Winder, for giving me 4 hours of your time so we can make a podcast. I'll be spending at least 4 hours of my own time editing it. And Dominion. Come to the tournament. Link in the description.
Wide Dominion.
Yeah, I think that's the end of the podcast. I'm gonna press the stop button.